Don't be stupid, boys. Turn off Clyde, support your side.
I would like to leave this city. This old town don't smell too pretty, and I can feel the warning signs running around my mind. And when I leave this island, I book myself into a soul asylum, 'cause I can feel the warning signs running around my mind. So here I go, still scratching around in the same old hole. My body feels young, but my mind is very old. So what do you say? You can't give me the dreams that are mine anyway.
You can. The weight on your shoulder will make you a stronger man. Grasp your nettle tightly, though it will burn. Treat your failures lightly, your luck is bound to turn. Don't give up till it's over. Don't quit if you can. The weight on your shoulder will make you a stronger man. Look at the autumn flowers, how they wither and fade. With nature's hidden powers, next year they'll be remade. Don't give up till it's over. Don't quit if you can. The weight on your shoulder will make you a stronger man.
Good day, good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you are in the world. You're listening to the Half the World Away Celtic podcast from Hail Hail Media. My name's Kevin O'Neill and I live in Mandurah in Western Australia, originally from Coatbridge. And joining us tonight in Melbourne, Victoria is our good friend and IT technical genius, Mr. Patrick Close. Good day, Pat.
Not technical genius tonight, Kevin, by the sounds of it, but...
Oh, mate, it wasn't your fault, I'm sure. It was not your fault.
I think it was.
Probably was.
No, it wasn't,
We
Pat.
cut him
It was
off.
not
I can
your
cut him
fault.
off, can I? I'm sure I can cut him off. Yes,
How are you
apologies,
anyway?
sir.
How are you, Pat?
I was fine. I was actually looking forward to it until all these things went skew with. So anyone who's deciding to work with Skype in the near future, when it does an automatic update and really just pulls the rug from under your feet, then it's just not that pleasant. So yep, sorry for the lateness for anyone who, all 4 people are listening live.
And remind everybody, Pat, what time is it actually in your part of the world in sunny Melbourne?
It is currently 10:47 p.m.
10:47
p.m. Yeah. it's a bit late for us. So again, apologies, and we might have to make this a bit of a brief one, Kev, because some of us have got to get to bed.
Well, yes, that's true. It's a late one for you and for our other man on the panel tonight, Martin Kelly. How are you, Martin?
I'm good, mate. How's yourself?
Yeah, not too bad at all, buddy. Not too bad. So you're in sunny Melbourne as well, aren't you, mate?
I am, mate, and it is magnificent here at the moment. The Spring Racing Carnival's on, mate. It's just above and away in Melbourne. It's just happening.
Okay, thanks, Martin. And also on the show tonight, he's missed out for the last few weeks, but he's back with us. He's back with us tonight, and he's up in Osaka, Japan. Mr. Liam. What's your second name again, Liam?
Carrigan.
Hi, Liam Carrigan.
Liam Cardigan,
Liam,
Jesus, it's terrible.
How are you, Liam?
Oh, not bad at all.
That's good. Usually I've got my Skype page up there, but I didn't for a second, and it took me a while to get it. So I could have dwelled on Liam for so long, Mr. Liam, but no, it wasn't working, mate. Anyway, Liam, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back.
Good stuff. Now, what we're going to cover off, folks, tonight. The show is very cleverly called Amster-Dammit, so we're obviously going to be reflecting a little bit on the Ajax game in Amsterdam, and not the game, but maybe on the off the park shenanigans. Let's describe it as, I suppose, for now. We'll talk a little bit about that stuff. We're also going to talk a little bit about. You'll have seen that the SPFL. A, B, C, D, F, G, H has struck a bit of a deal with a Chinese pay-per-view internet channel. Now, there's been a little bit said. People might have formed opinions on it. It's not solely a Celtic thing, but it certainly will impact Celtic. So we're going to speak a little bit about our thoughts on that, and Liam's going to give us a bit of a perspective from spending. How many years was it you were in Hong Kong, Liam? Did you say 3 years?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. So you've got a bit of a view on that you want to share with us all. We haven't heard it yet, but you did say in your email during the week to us that you thought it might be a little bit controversial. So we're looking forward to hearing that. And we'll see how we go and see if we've got another few things, but we'll try and keep the show fairly short tonight, so maybe only about 4.5 hours or so.
Oh, it's a nice quick one then. That's good. Yeah, perfect.
A nice quick one. Now,
Kev, we started off with a good one already. Thanks to Craig for his sack the board tweet. That was very, very encouraging. Thanks for your encouraging words there, Craig. That was very nice of you.
And we should probably shout out as well to Chrissy Boy, because poor Chrissy Boy's been waiting for a while when we were meant to be going live, and he's been hanging about for the last 50 minutes or so.
Sorry, everyone.
And John Derek Flanagan as well. I think he's trying to listen in. So anyway, we'll see how we get on tonight. Anyway, folks. Now, as we have been doing for the last couple of shows, we like to get around this beautiful country of Australia. And we've been broadcasting from various different locations around this country. I think we were in Spunker's Knob a few weeks ago, Patrick. And then we were at Fanny Bay up in the Northern Territory a couple of weeks ago. But we're broadcasting albeit... well, we're not, because I've just said where we all are. But anyway, tonight the show is coming from Tittybong in Victoria.
Yes. Welcome to Tittybong, everyone. Well, look, we thought we're going to try and get the full house. So we've done the fanny thing, and we've done the Spunker's Knob. So we've done knobs and fannies.
Yes.
So we're going for probably my favourite place in the world, which is a Tittybong kind of place. So we'll obviously try and sneak in some titty jokes during the show, like we did last time with the fanny gags, which I thought were funny.
Was there any gags there?
Well, I thought they were funny, but nobody else. Yeah, I'm a baldy fanny one. I thought that up all night. You must remember my baldy.
Amido baldy.
Yeah, that one. You're talking pish. Anyway, moving on.
So Tittybong, look it up. We're doing our bit for the Victorian tourist trade as well. if you look it up, in fact, there's not a lot to say about Tittybong when I went on to Wikipedia. You're as well not having anything entered. What it basically says in here is Tittybong is a locality in the northwest of Victoria. It's in the Shire of Ganawara and the Shire of Buloki. Buloki? How do you pronounce that? I don't know. Anyway, what it says is Tittybong Post Office opened on the 1st of January 1884 and closed in 1968. And that's it. That's all it says.
Can I check?
That's all it says about Tittybong.
Hold on, but can I check? Is Tittybong, is it near Mount Baba?
Well, you should know because we're broadcasting from there. Look out that window over there and tell us.
Can you see it?
Can you see a big mountain that looks like Baba's?
I can see two big Babas out the window, so it must be.
Right, that's it. So it's right next to Mount Baba.
It's Kev. It's actually west of Kerrang, if anyone knows Kerrang, but which used to be a heavy metal magazine
I was
when I
going
was
to
a
say
young boy.
that.
So
Magazine.
It
what was
did.
that?
No, you're right.
It's
The
also
only
south,
other thing I can...
it's south of Swan Hill as well, Kev. So it's yep, and its
That's-
postcode is 3542.
That was the only other thing I could have told you about it, unless you want to hear its coordinates. But I think...
Oh no! Go on.
Well, it's 35 degrees, 44 minutes south, and 143 degrees, 22 minutes east.
Right,
done.
boys, can we go on and talk about Selleck now?
No, we're talking about coordinates of Tittybong. This is the Tittybong coordinate podcast from Hill Media. Right, no, listen, enough of this Tittybong. I think we're running out of these places, but probably not. We'll probably get some more in the next show.
Actually, for anyone out there listening, we are trying to get the full sweep. So if anyone knows of any Australian towns with any sort of arse or bottom connotations, then just can you let us know? Because we're really struggling. So we do want the full house. We want arse, fanny, tits, and knobs. So any
Not in that
recommendations?
order.
Answers on a
Not
postcard to Kevin, please. So.
Right, okay. Anyway, we need to go on with the show now. As some of you are already doing, if you want to interact with us tonight, you can do so on Twitter, and our Twitter handle is @halftheworld88. So if you've got any little questions or any comments at all, you can tweet us at that. If you do want to call in, you can Skype us. The Skype name is halftheworld88. As I always say, usually if we get, there's the three of us are on just now, but if we usually get, there's four of us on just now, isn't there? Usually if we get to about 5-ish, then we start having a few difficulties any more than that. So just bear that in mind if somebody else does try to Skype us in. Or as usual, there's the Spreaker chat room where anybody, if you're listening live, you'll be listening in there just now. You can contact us on that. Leave some comments. Pat will keep an eye out on that.
Sorry.
What you laughing at?
The liquidator in the chat room. He said Tittybong is a place in Australia, but it is also the act of the female appendage leaping from its cotton underwire prison. Can be used as an expression of pleasure or to fill a gap in conversation. I want to go to Tittybong. So there you go.
That is a tremendous piece of information. Who sent that in?
That was a liquidator. I think he's on
Liquidator.
Twitter as well. Yeah, he's on Twitter as well. So there you go.
That's outstanding, actually.
Celtic
Tittybong.
forums. There you go. Celtic forums. So he knows more about Tittybong than we do.
Well, there's actually, you could put that into the Wikipedia article and it would quadruple the existing content.
Right, moving on. Go.
Right, okay. So, Ajax of Amsterdam. Let's first of all talk a little bit about the game. So, Pat, first of all, let's go around everybody. Patrick, did you see it? Did you see the game?
I did, Kevin. I watched it on Davey TV, so thanks again, David. It was until you ready for this, Kevin. Halfway through the second half, we actually had a power cut. So there was a mad scramble in our house trying to get some 3G sort of mobile connections, but yes, it was our power company claimed they told us in September that there was actually going to be a power outage on that morning for routine maintenance. So halfway through the second half, the whole place went dead. TV, the computer, the whole shebang. So it was a mad scramble.
Okay, right. Well,
the kids were just pissing themselves laughing at me, absolutely pissing themselves laughing at me running around the house. So yes, I managed to get this little 3G modem thing that work gave me as a backup, and I was scrambling around my bag trying to find it. So missed probably 5 minutes of the game, but yeah, got there in the end.
Okay, that's good. Right, we'll talk about the game in a minute. I just want to go around everybody and find out, did we see it? So Liam, I'll come to you next. Did you see the game, mate?
I did, but I tell you, it wasn't very nice. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to watch it.
Yep.
So I watched the game. Of course, the result wasn't what I wanted, and I've got to got to leave the house at 7:30 to go to work.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'll jump in the shower quickly and freshen up, and my bloody gas had been cut off, so I got a nice cold shower.
What's this about these power outages in Melbourne and Osaka? This is incredible. Electricity in Melbourne going, gas in Osaka going. Did you have any difficulty watching the game, Martin?
Well, I never had a power outage and I never had any gas issues.
Oh, that's good. So you must have enjoyed it then.
Look, I had a work event that I couldn't miss, so no, I never see it.
Pardon?
Jesus.
I know.
What did you come on this thing for then? Why are you actually here?
I'll be honest, since we started talking, I have been asking myself that question. About
Martin Kelly, you are a disgrace of a man. Again.
You're welcome.
Again, mate.
That's the first official warning, Kev. That's the disgrace. I'm sorry. We run a tight ship here, Kev. We can't accept performances like this. It's just not good enough.
It is poor. Have you managed to see highlights since or anything, Martin, so you can shed some kind of view on your thoughts on the game later?
I've seen little bits and pieces, but not enough to have a full and frank discussion on it. But I've read extensively, and I'll be honest, I don't think there was a lot of highlights to discuss.
Right, okay. Well, you'll need to maybe park your arse on the sidelines just now while the three of us have a dissect the game a little bit, right? So
I can still have opinions on stuff.
You can, of course, and we shall allow you to offer these opinions, but we'll need to do the old Jimmy Sanderson, "When you at the game today, caller?" One of those kind of things. But anyway, right, Liam, I'll come to you first of all. Your overall view on the game and Celtic's performance.
Flat, just unbelievably flat. Just the build-up, we were confident and we thought, we can beat this mob, they're not that great. And it is probably the worst Ajax team I've seen ever. Mm-hmm. And yet, we just looked we made an ordinary team look good, I think is probably the best way to sum it up. Okay.
Pat, did you have a similar view or different?
No, along the same lines. I think the way that that Lennon was talking, and I guess all the whole of the team, anyone who was interviewed, was, we're going to press them, we're going to push high up the park, we're going to attack. Well, I didn't see much pressing, and I didn't see much attacking in that first half. It was, there was just too many guys. I think there was certain things in the game that I don't know. I picked up pretty quickly. I remember, I forget which game it was. I remember Davy Provan commenting at the start of one game saying along the lines of, in the first 5 minutes if Georgios Samaras is on form and up for a game, and you could tell within the first 5 minutes he was not up for the game, not even close. The second big thing for me is that I think the Commons thing was a big risk, and I think it failed. I think it was another one of these ones that we put somebody in who we think is up for the game, and I'm going along the lines of the Ambrose game. I just don't think Commons was even close to fit. He was pretty much second touch was a tackle, more or less all the time. So I think he was way off the boil. Whether that's the injury or just lack of match time, I don't know. But Lennon had certainly bummed him up, and even the commentary, I think at the start of it, was doing the same thing. The main man, Chris Commons, he's the guy that's going to turn the game, and he was relatively ineffective for a vast majority of the game as well. So. I think they tried to move him around. They put him in the middle at some stage. They put him out wide, and nothing was working for him. So I think that was a fairly big risk that didn't come off.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would totally agree with your thoughts on Commons there as well, in terms of he wasn't fully match fit, and he was his first two involvements in the game. He gave the ball away once, and he fell on his arse another time as well. He was struggling to get into it, but not as much as Jamesy Forrest, because James Forrest hardly touched the ball, I think, for the entire first half. He hardly got it at all. So he was another one that was coming back in, and we took a bit of a gamble on him coming in as well. I'm not so sure if that was to do with that. It was one of his, he was still just coming back from a spell out, or was it just a tactical thing? I don't know. I don't know how we never managed to get the ball to the wee man, or he could go for so long without touching the bloody thing. But yeah, Samaras is such a frustrating guy. Because even when he can be having a great game, his body language isn't always the most positive. He can be having an outstanding game and he still does that kind of hands on the hips or looking up to the heavens, and when something doesn't quite go his way. So the whole thing about, you can tell within 5 minutes, is Sammy going to is he in the mood or not? It's difficult to tell really with Sammy, because he could be like that for 5 minutes, but then he is going to have a blinder. But he wasn't really at the races. And I think some of the comments I made to some of my mates as we were texting during the game was there were far too many passengers in our team that night. Now, what you were saying there, Liam, about that's a poor Ajax team, I would agree. It is a poor Ajax team. I don't think it's as poor. It probably is the poorest Ajax team that we've played against. So therefore, maybe seen. I think there's probably been poorer teams in recent history, but this is a very young team that, as Ajax always do, they build and then they have some cracking players that get poached or sent out and a big team sign them, and then they have to rebuild again. I can see this team improving, and I think they're just at the start of that journey just now. They'll probably be able to stay together for a few years, but then these players will reach a plateau and they'll start getting handpicked from a few of the teams. They've got a few fairly decent players in there. I would say they're still a little bit green in some aspects of their play. But I was not confident getting into that game, guys, at all. I was frustrated that there was so many just felt we had to turn up, put a little bit of effort in and would walk away with 3 points. The game that we played against Ajax a fortnight earlier, we've got to remember that the goals we scored, one of them was a penalty kick, one of them was a deflection that the keeper would have had covered otherwise. So we didn't exactly pummel them or create loads and loads of chances or have them really on the back foot. They had plenty of possession at Celtic Park. So, just taking that into account, taking into account the fact that they were on their own patch with a vociferous crowd, let's say, and we'll speak more about the fans later on. The bookies got it right again in terms of their favouritism. I think they were about $1.50 over here in Australia. So pretty much odds on. We were $4.50 or 72 in the old money. And I thought that was about right on reflection, given our potential away form that we sometimes have. Or in more recent history, we've done a little bit better. But I couldn't understand why so many of our fans just seemed to think we were going to come away with a win. I just couldn't see it, guys. I could not see it. When in reflection, looking at the actual game and the chances they had and all the rest of it, the goal they did score was a kind of a well-worked goal, but it was definitely avoidable. I think there was two fairly weak challenges in the middle of the park, one from Mulgrew, one from Kayal, that was in the build-up to their move. It was a good move that they pulled together, and the boy was bearing down in goal, and it was a good chance that he stuck away. Apart from that, it was fairly limited, but I honestly couldn't see where we were going to get a goal from in that game, which worried me.
Yeah, I think you're right. The tackle or non-tackle by Mulgrew really set the pace for that whole move, because it went in. There was no sort of I guess there was no sort of determination to get the ball. It was really like a bit of a half-arsed tackle. It wasn't even a tackle. He pretty much ran over the top of the ball. Mm-hmm. If he went through, I mean, he's in the actual tackles. He goes through him, gets the ball. I don't know what he was trying to do, but he was trying to flick it over him and be a bit smart with it. But if he just basically tried to smack the ball out of play, the goal would never have come. And in truth, when the ball went in the back of the net, that was my instant frustration. Was that tackle. But what was playing in my mind was it Kyle or was it Mulgrew? I just couldn't quite remember. It was only today I actually went back and watched it. I didn't have a heart to go back and watch it, but it really set up the whole thing.
Well,
Whereas,
I think,
and a strong tackle like a Scott Brown or someone in it or a Ledley probably wouldn't have let that happen.
well, my recollection of it, Pat, I haven't seen it again at all, but my recollection of was that there was a half-arsed challenge by Mulgrew, but there was also just right immediately after it, there was a half-arsed challenge by Kyle, I'm pretty sure. Because like you, I just remember saying, as soon as they scored, I thought that would never have happened if one of them had just cleared that up in the middle of the park or done something with it or put in more of a challenge, So I think the two of them were at fault.
Yeah, and I think that's what's coming back to bite us in the bum, that we really are lacking. And if you're expecting Kyle and Mulgrew to win a game away from home in Europe as central midfielders, then you're really up against it. I mean, I'm not sure what the thought of Ledley. Maybe he's not fit. I don't know, but for me, we'd always be in there. I know, like Kyle was meant to have come back on a bit of form, but really he's flattering to deceive at the moment. I'm just not that sure about him. I just think it was. I'm not sure. I'm sure it was a mistake. I mean, Lenny obviously is closer to the players, but you would have thought if Ledley was fit, he should have been there. He should have been in as one of the main midfielders, and and even maybe in hindsight, as the Izagiri at the left back, I think they really targeted him. I think he was earmarked as a certain weakness in our team, and he probably is. I mean, I think in terms of the other players that played, Lustig played right back. Thought he one of the few players that got pass marks. Forster, the central defence again, I thought were absolutely magnificent. But apart from that little group, I think the rest were fairly average. And I think Izagiri, if you look at some of the play, I'm amazed he didn't get sent off. There was a tackle in the second half. I can't quite remember at what stage the second half. He was already booked at that stage, and he went through the guy, and the play went on. And I don't know, was the referee just conveniently kind of forgot about it? So, and I should point out as well, the other thing I thought is, I'm talking about the Celtic players with pass marks. I thought the referee was excellent. I thought he was absolutely excellent. So I think it was one of these hard but fair referees. He gave the decisions that should have went to each team. I think the Ajax fans were getting on his back, but every free kick for and against us, I think was well deserved. So I think he certainly gets a pass mark from me. Not often I say that, but
They'll just sorry, Pat, but I think Martin's having a pee in the background again.
I'm all right.
See, this is because he's sitting on the sidelines and he's not contributing, and he's, what about me? What about me?
I'm in a huff, yeah.
I need to have a pee-pee. I need to have a pee-pee in the
look
background.
at me, look at me, I'm doing a pee on my pants. Oh no, look at me.
Martin, I was actually going to come to you. Jim Rennox has tweeted in, he said that there's no creativity in the team. We're a boring team to watch. The midfield is one-paced. Oh, I got a bit of echo there. What's happened with that?
Echo as well.
What happened there?
I don't know, it wasn't me, I didn't touch it.
I just dropped my iPad, guys, so sorry. That's probably me.
Here we go.
Oh, another attention seeker. For crying out loud, Liam.
You wouldn't get this in Sports Sound,
in a minute, mate.
You wouldn't get this in Sports Sound or on Radio Clyde? Absolutely not. Jesus.
Martin, what I was going to ask you was, Jim Rennox's tweet that he says there's no creativity, we're a boring team to watch, and the midfield is one-paced. I mean, the other night, okay, Pat and myself there, we're talking about Charlie Mulgrew and Kyle. Now, I know you've never seen it, and we've slagged you enough about that just now, but in terms of the team that went out the other night, and as you said, you've read some things. Is there anything that you think Lennon could have done differently the other night in terms of the team that he had at his disposal that could have maybe changed things a little bit? Not even necessarily in the midfield, but maybe up front as well, because I would agree with Jim in as much as we really were lacking ideas. As I said earlier, I honestly couldn't see where a goal was coming from, unless, again, there was like a penalty or maybe from a free kick or something like that. Could you see if there was any other option there by the players he had at his disposal to start that game?
Look, no, I'm looking at the team now. Maybe you could have put on Roderick or Ledley that were on the bench. But realistically, we could be sitting here at the moment. If Sammy had turned up, and Forrest had done and done a really good job for us. Kyle could have played out of his skin. I'm looking at the team saying there is creativity there. Now, maybe it just didn't turn up on the night, but there's enough players there that on their day can turn it on and can do a job for us. So I don't know. I wouldn't certainly say the team didn't. Maybe the other night, and from what I've read, totally like possession wise, us having 39% of the possession and so few shots on target and everything that certainly I think we didn't turn up the other night, but. I think we're all being heroes in hindsight, and with Lennon could have done this and done that. He's got players that can do the business on there. Even at that, like I'm a big fan of Charlie Mulgrew.
Yeah,
that Mulgrew can play sensationally. So I think it's just a wee bit of I think it's a wee bit of, as I said, hero in hindsight type thing.
No, fair enough.
For the boys that watched the game, what's your thoughts? But as I said, what do you think?
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I mean, Liam, maybe I'll put the same point to yourself. Were you surprised with the lineup that he went with? Or, we knew that there was some injury problems and things like that anyway, but was there any surprises with that lineup, or would you have done anything differently if you were Neil Lennon?
I don't know. I might have put Borictor straight in there, simply because he knew what Ajax were all about at home, But again, with his injuries and that, you don't know if that's the right idea. But but really, no. I mean, it's a very typical sort of European formation, isn't it? Going with Sammy and but I think that's an issue that we've not really dealt with for the summer. Is that we do in Europe we rely too much on Sammy, and the nature of the kind of player that he is sometimes he's no. Sometimes it's not going to work for him, and it didn't work on Wednesday, and it showed quite badly that it wasn't working for him, and we had no plan B,
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, the result was obviously disappointing. As I said earlier, it wasn't completely unexpected from my own point of view, anyway. But if we can look at any positives to take out of that game, Pat, you touched on this earlier on. Fraser Forster had another blinder, and the two centre halves again. We're really, really, for the majority of the game, especially Big Van Dijk again, really, really comfortable, really looked the part, didn't look out of place. I think Effie made one little error towards the end. And he puts the back foot a bit, but apart from that, I think again the two of them looked really, really comfortable and they dealt with everything. I would see that as a positive coming out of the game. What about yourself, Pat?
Well, I said there's the guys I saw as being the main players in our team were defenders, which is a little bit unfortunate. You're talking Foster, had a great game. Lustig at the back I thought was excellent as well. He was really trying to get forward, but until they scored, I don't think he'd really get that opportunity to get in a bit of space and behind them. But and the central defenders I thought were excellent. I don't think anyone's really criticised them. I know you're saying that Ambrose get caught maybe once, but I think he's going to get caught once or twice every game. But I think it's one of those things. If Lennon was talking about being brave, well, that's the sort of guy you need to be brave to come through. And he did a couple of good runs, especially after their goal. Try to push through and split their defence a little bit.
That's
so
right.
I certainly don't think you can really sort of criticise him. The midfield, I think they were chasing shadows for fairly big parts of the game. Forrest didn't really do too much. Samaras, again, it was verging on one of these worst performances. Let's face it. I mean, they'd sussed it out fairly quickly. To be fair to Ajax, like they had, as a minimum, they had two guys. They knew that he's not going to beat two men. The only way he's going to have any impact in the game is if he gets one-on-one with somebody and runs at them. And even then, he's limited in the tricks that he can actually do. His pace is pretty much it. But if you're, I think part of his is, I guess the strength is the surprise, because he's obviously quite a tall player. You don't expect him to be quite so fast. But clever teams will suss that out. They'll put two men on, they'll sort of tag him and make sure that there's always someone sort of doubling up on him. And let's face it, it was one stage of the game, I think there was 4 players around about him, and he was just running into brick walls. I mean, he did it in the first leg as well, the first game at Parkhead as well. But I think they'd sussed him out fairly easily. Stokes again, I'm just not sure about Stokes in Europe. I think he's forever going to be one of these guys that's good domestically, but in Europe, he's got a long way to go, I reckon. But yeah, I mean, it's disappointing the fact that our best players were defenders in a way. So you'd like to hope that there was at least one midfielder, or one sort of winger or one forward that just was heading above everyone. But there was no one. I think it was pretty much across the team as well. And obviously they brought Pookie and these sort of guys on as well, but there was just no impact. And I think they gave Pookie like 10 minutes to try and claw game back for you, and I just don't think he was going to do that. I think Ajax were too smart and obviously dropping back a bit deeper and just not giving us that sort of space to run into. But yeah, so lots of frustrations, but fair dues to the guys that did play well, but it doesn't really help us going forward. But it was just, what I found surprising was the fact that when they scored, now I don't know if it was because they dropped back and they played a bit more defensively, but all of a sudden we started to get chances.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was, and it was almost instantly, as soon as they'd scored, it was like you just felt like, why wasn't that sort of same and push before they scored, and because that, again, bear in mind, that's what Lennon was sort of proclaiming the team were going to do. We're going to push forward, we're going to press high up the park, we're going to really take the game to Ajax, and they did after Ajax scored.
Yeah, I did notice that myself, Pat. You could clearly see it. We didn't really press it home, especially in the last 10 minutes. There was a little spell that they were kind of, I wouldn't say it was desperate defending, but we were pressing them high up the park. But the quality of the balls into the box again, we weren't putting them under enough pressure. You wanted a couple of little, dodgy clearances or things like that and let their fans get very nervy, that kind of thing. We never really put them under that pressure. And I think I remember kind of tweeting to say that I did honestly think, whatever was said before the game, we're going out to win it. I honestly thought we were going there for a 0-0 draw so that we could stay above them, just keep our noses in front of them, maybe pick up that third place in the group. I honestly think that was the way we were playing that game, and it was only when we did go the goal behind that we did come out a little bit more. Rightly or wrongly, I honestly do think that's what our tactics were on the night, just to contain them and not let them score. And maybe we would have been happy to get a goal from a set piece or something like that, but certainly didn't see us looking as if we were going to be pushing for it until, as you said, they scored. So that was my kind of view of it. I mean, the result itself, okay, it's a 0 points again. It leaves us in the bottom of the group, guys. So Barcelona are sitting, there's 4 games been played. Barca are sitting top of the group with 10 points. Milan have got 5 points. Ajax 4 points. We're bottom of the group with 3 points. So from second to last, there's only 2 points in it. There's 2 games to go. Can we still qualify out of this group? I'll ask you first, Liam.
Can we qualify? Yes. Will we qualify? I don't think so. I think we're going to finish third. In all honesty.
That's, well, yeah, pessimistic, Kev. That's still quite optimistic in my view. So you reckon, so basically our last 2 games against Barca and Milan, I need to check this, guys. What are the order of the games, the last 2 games?
We play AC Milan next at home and then Barca away.
Barca away in the last game.
We'll beat Milan, but I reckon we'll probably lose to Barca. So
right. So you reckon we're finishing on 6 points?
Aye.
Alright, Liam,
Okay.
The only thing I was hoping is that we go to Barca, they've already qualified, already in first spot, nothing to play for, and possibly we could grab a draw or something there.
I mean, we've done it before, so it is possible, Yeah. We've done it twice before, actually, when you think about it. We've gone to Barca and got a draw, so...
The only thing is, you could say that when Ajax are playing Barca in the next... Because Barca are through anyway now, so when Ajax come to play them, you could say the same thing there.
But they're still trying to win the group.
Aye.
Yeah.
So they still could technically be caught or still end up in second place if they lose 2 of them. They're very, very unlikely. But look, that would be my thought. But look, again, it's that's just, I think, hopeful thinking.
We're looking for favours, boys. Let's face it.
And
we're bottom of the group. We're looking for favours.
Even if Barca put out a second string team, it's not going to be
exactly
second string team, is it?
So you reckon we'll finish third though, Liam?
Aye, I do.
Okay, Martin, I'll come to you next. Sorry, Liam, say again.
So I reckon we're a better team than Ajax. We're maybe not quite as good as Milan, and we're certainly nowhere near Barcelona. But I reckon, just looking at the two games we played against them, I reckon overall we're a better team than Ajax when we perform to our best. So I reckon we should finish.
I like that little caveat at the end there, when we perform to our best, because I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that.
But Kev, you also have to look at the fact that what Ajax have, because they've got Barcelona at home and then Milan away.
Yeah.
So you got to factor in the fact that, I mean, probably you'd say that's 2 defeats, really. They might maybe sneak a draw or something somewhere, but again, the biggest game for us is obviously Milan. If we can take 3 points off them, it puts us in a pretty strong position. You're talking about Ajax then have to go to Milan pretty much to qualify, so they'd be fighting it out for that sort of last spot.
Mm-hmm.
So a wee draw or something, sneaking a draw somewhere. If they, I guess what's the next game? Where they? So that'll be. I'm sure it's in Amsterdam. I'm sure I'll double check that. Yeah, Ajax and Barcelona and Amsterdam the same day we play Milan at home.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they drop points in that game, even if it's a point or they get beat, the problem being if they beat Barcelona at home, pretty much game's over for us. But so yeah, I mean, if two defeats for them, and if we beat Milan as well in the same time, then it still puts us in a pretty strong position. So we shall see. But yeah, we'll probably say as other guys. Yep.
I know you like your $5 bets, Pat. So if you're going to put a nice $5 on us to what position we'll finish in the group, what position would you be putting your $5 on?
Probably third.
That's about £2.60, folks. Back £2.60. Well, likes these big bets, Pat.
I don't know if it's an indication of my confidence level for the game the other night, but I didn't put a bet on for the Ajax game. If I did, I'd probably put a bet on a draw. But sorry, I should have. Sorry, Jerry. It's just Kev's not introducing you. He's being very rude, but never mind.
Sorry, yes, Jerry. I was off my Skype screen there. I was too busy studying this Champions League table. We'll get to you in a second, Jerry, if you don't mind.
No problem, Kevin.
Good man. Right, Pat, sorry, finish off there, mate. If you've got your $5, where are you putting it? What position?
Third spot, which I don't think
third
would be.
Spot?
Yeah, which I don't think would be a bad thing for us. I think it's, give us another crack at a game or two after New Year. So, not guaranteeing it, but I'm confident we can beat Milan, and I'm fairly confident that Ajax won't get another point.
Okay, right, fair enough. Now, before I come to Jerry, I'll just ask you, Martin, just to finish up this little segment, I guess. But I know you're a big spender, Martin, because you were at the old Melbourne Cup there during the week. I saw your pictures on Facebook. You were obviously splashing your cash like a man with no arms, throwing your money about. And so, let's say you've got $100. What position are we finishing in Group H?
Well, if I've got $100, about probably 98 of it will stay in my pocket, and I'd probably put 2 on. Actually, I would like us. I'd like us to finish in the top 2. I hope we could maybe finish third. My biggest issue is if it starts becoming really tight with us and Ajax on the same sort of points, then we will go out. And I think because it goes head to head. Because they've beaten us at home, but they've got an away goal. I'm assuming that counts head to head.
Yep, it does.
So that
counts before
goals for and against, doesn't it?
Yeah, if it goes to that, it does. It comes to the it's pretty much the away goal.
My only concern is if Ajax lose both games, we get a draw with Milan and then get beat with Barca, then we're in last position, sort of thing. And I would think, I think we've got this. All right, we can possibly do Milan at home. I hope to God we can do that, but I'm not massively confident in that. But I think that comes to that. Look, it's my money would say possibly third, but not with a huge amount of confidence.
Okay.
And just because that the head-to-head stuff. But I also think Milan are not the team they used to be, and we've got as good a chance of beating them as any sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not. Yeah, there's no moonwalks being done or anything. There's no massive touchdowns. We're going to smash them. But
okay, so
I was just going to say, look, you all want to go through the last 16 of the Champions League, but the Europa Cup could give us a couple of more decent games in Europe, possibly, and I don't know if it does help better with the coefficient if we win a couple of more games. And, suddenly you could find yourself in the last 8 of the Europa League, and then, God knows what happens from there sort of thing.
Yeah.
If we end up in the last 16, realistically, that would be probably our last game in Europe. So, yeah.
Well, Jerry, listen, you've been waiting patiently, mate, but I'm going to come to you now, because this side of the world, there's a little bit of pessimism, I suppose, but there's slightly, maybe not as pessimistic as my view in the whole group situation, mind you, but we seem to be agreeing that we might finish, we've got a chance of finishing third. Give us a view from closer to paradise, mate. What do you think, Jerry?
Well, I think, Kevin, the first thing I would say is if I added you as a Facebook friend in the last couple of weeks and had a look at your patio and your furniture, given it Celtic are short of a few quid, I think if you put your house in a market, we could be up there with the very best.
Oh, mate. So, Jerry, listen, the only reason I got a pool put in was because that time you came on the show and you told me you were in Spain and you were in the pool, and I thought, that's a brilliant idea, I'm going to get one of them.
I'm impressed.
So
anyway, one of the things I was going to mention is that I was up at my dad's at the weekend there on Sunday, and my brother's a shareholder, and there was a sobering piece of information, I think, that I read, and it was about the income from season ticket sales. Mm-hmm. And the income from season ticket sales was printed as, I think, £13 million. Now, I was thinking back to the heyday when Larson, Sutton and co were in the team, and we'd 60,000 largely adults paying money, and you probably had a season ticket income of 25 to 30 million. And then you take the hit that we have done there with, probably the stadium around a third full, and then you also add Sevco's demise, which means that you've got a drop in TV income, a drop in gate income from the big matches when they were around, and also the fact that we had to offer £100 discount to fans to come to the game this year. You think that's such a massive drop in the kind of money that's coming through the ranks. And when I looked at that, and you think, well, £13 is your core income, and we're competing against the likes of Barcelona and even Milan, that can arguably pay 3 and 4 times that in a single player, and not even considering wages. And probably even Ajax, would be financially slightly ahead of us. I think it kind of tells you the kind of task that we face at the moment and what we're operating in. And to be honest, to get into the Champions League at all was a great achievement. Mm-hmm. And I think the other positive thing, if you're looking for positives, Kevin, is...
I am looking for positives, Jerry.
When you think of Martin O'Neill, when we had Larson, Sutton, and probably, maybe £40 million worth of talent on the field, we went to the likes of Porto and, various different teams, and were basically swept aside. We were out of the game by half-time on a number of occasions. We never really made any kind of impact. But seriously, this season, every game, no matter who it's what,
we're there or thereabouts. Yeah, that's true.
We have our weaknesses, and they're there for all to see. And I think we could have played better on Wednesday night. I think you guys summed it up. The likes of Sammy and co could definitely have done better. But the other good thing is that we're not anybody's mugs anymore, and we've probably got a respect from across European football that you're not just going to turn up and roll over the top of this team. So, I mean, for me, that's a big positive for us. I think the other issue as well is, you know, when you talk about Sammy and Chris Commons and different people, there's a lot of debate on Twitter about who you should buy and let's go up and get Finn Bogason or whatever else. But the market that we're operating in, we're probably always going to get flawed individuals like Sammy and, you know, Chris, even Stokes to a lesser extent, people that will perform frequently but cannot be relied upon to do it week in, week out at the highest level. Because see, if they did, we couldn't afford to keep them. So, in a sense, I think, yeah, it was disappointing. And maybe summing it all up, if we played at our very best, we could have beat them. But we're still there. There's still a possibility that we could go into the Europa League. Couldn't be ruled out that we'll go into the last 16. Yeah. But bearing all that in mind, bearing the limitations that we have, the way things are at the moment, I think we are punching miles above our weight. And, it's a great reason to continue to support and stick with the club.
Yeah. It is. I mean, we're 2 points behind the second place team, so let's not forget that. Let's put the Ajax game behind us in terms of the performance and just try to focus on the positives in terms of we know we can do a lot better. There was too many players either weren't fully fit, came back from a break, or they'd been out through injury or whatever, and they definitely underperformed. They'll know that themselves. As I said earlier on, we can't afford to have any passengers in games at this level. But if we've got a full house at Celtic Park getting into the Milan game, I guess my only concern just now that I touched on earlier on is goal scoring. As we know, the Italian teams, it doesn't matter what Italian team you pick, they always still set themselves out to defend first and foremost. Now, Milan are in that position that they'll be quite happy to do that when they come and play at Celtic Park, and it's down to us to break them down. My biggest concern is, again, lacking that Gary Hooper type striker. You know, the guy that can sneak a goal from anywhere. For me, again, Big Baldy's he's not that 20 goal a season striker. Either is Pookie. I'll give these boys time, but they're different. They are different players altogether. You can tell straight away whether somebody's got an eye for goal or not, and I don't see it in either of these guys just now. But anyway, we'll see how it goes.
See on that, Kevin. I mean, I would maybe take issue with Pookie in the sense that, I mean, I remember he had 2 chances against Thistle, and I think he did a hell of a lot right leading up to the goal. I think the keeper made at least one excellent save against him. Yep. And I think his movement's decent. I mean, sometimes I think, when you look at Joe Hart and Fraser Foster, I think it tells you how much football's a confidence game. And if you think, Pookie has made chances in most of the games. If just 1 or 2 more of them had gone in, then he starts big games. Well, he starts games like this in a far more confident mood, and he himself feels he can do some damage. I mean, I'm unfortunate enough to have seen some real duds over the years. You think of Cascarino and Wayne Biggins, and I personally think that Pookie may yet come good. I actually think he may well do. I mean, I would expect him to get 15, 16 goals come the end of this season, and I think his game can improve. But it's like everything else. If you're spending £1 million, £2 million, £2.5 million, you're never going to get guaranteed to get the real deal. So we just need to wait. We need to wait and hope and see. One last thing, Kevin. I just want to make a point about the timing of your podcast. I mean, I think it's just ridiculously unreasonable that you guys can get up and watch Champions League games at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You can't have your podcast at the same time.
Ah, see, I thought you were trying to defend Martin Kelly there. I wasn't going to stand for that.
Even I wouldn't defend myself, so I wouldn't need anybody else.
You've got this ludicrous position where I can't listen to your show live every Friday because I've got to earn a living. So I'm having to disappear during my lunch break and listen for half an hour and get a wee call in. So I think it's high time. It's high time you guys were setting the alarm at 5 o'clock in the morning instead of doing it at such a convenient time as maybe 8, 9 on a Friday night. It's just unacceptable.
Jerry, I'll tell you something. Pat has mentioned before that maybe for one of these Champions League games, we might do a podcast at some stage. Obviously, we'd be missing Martin right enough because he doesn't bother his arse getting up. But other than that...
You're welcome.
No, listen, guys. Time I was off and back to serve my master, get the work done. Great to speak to you as always, guys. But we're on to the next game tomorrow. Looking forward to taking on Ross County, and how mouth-watering it is to take on Milan in the Champions League. You think of, win, lose or draw in a lot of respects, 6 matches against the very best. Yeah. I just watched as the picture come into the house from the Amster-Dammit arena, and I thought, this is where we want to be. So see, the very fact that we're there, you should never, ever lose sight of that. It's just, how much does it lift the season? I actually think it lifts your programme because it always seems more interesting talking about the Champions League than maybe an away match at,
Ross County, for example.
So, do you know what I mean? If that's the worst that we can hope for, is that we go in there and we compete and we don't get through, well, I think we would all take that. So let's get our heads up and onwards and upwards, and let's hope we take Milan and give ourselves a fighting chance to be in Europe after Christmas.
Fair play to you, Jerry. No, it is. It's a good point. We need to remember where we've come from and what our expectations really should be, and just enjoy the fact that we're actually there. Because let's not forget that we had those even prior to this Champions League campaign. Some of us were sceptical whether we might have got there or not. There's always a challenge for us to even get into the group stages. We're playing in the group of champions. Let's just enjoy it in the company we're playing in, and not forget that, because there's plenty of other teams out there, some that think they're big but they're playing in the third bloody tier of certain Scottish footballs. They would give their left arm, right arm, but they'll fall off because they're zombies anyway, to be in the position that we're in. So let's still just enjoy it, boys. Let's enjoy it. And Jerry, thanks a million for Skype.
No bother. Listen, Martin, Pat, Kevin, superb as always. I'll catch the rest of the show, no doubt, when I'm up tomorrow morning.
Don't forget Liam.
Oh, Liam.
Don't forget me.
Sorry, Liam.
Sorry,
when I'm up doing my domestic chores tomorrow morning, I'll catch the rest of the show. Oh,
remember,
listen, boys,
Liam's second name is Carrigan. Don't forget that, because I did earlier on.
Liam, listen, guys, great to speak to you, right? Superb show. Hail, hail.
Good on you, Jerry. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail. Yeah, all the best.
Bye. Cheers, bye.
Right, so that's you.
Listen,
Pat,
and Jerry,
you're wanting to go to your bed now, Pat?
No. When Jerry's actually listening to this tomorrow, listen to the intro, the song at the intro. Although it's not exactly the most inspiring tune, but it was the Dubliners don't give up till it's over, which is the whole thought of which is part of my thought is, there's all this doom and gloom about, oh no, we get smacked, but the way I look at it is, this is the equivalent of Benfica last year. Benfica, we went away and we get, not exactly a great performance, but we still got through. So we've had great performances against Barcelona. We played alright, played well against Milan and stuff. So we kind of give up just like that. So I think our biggest hope is we need to take something off Milan, and then we go to Barcelona. It gives us something to fight for.
That's right.
And if we can scrap I don't know if it comes even to this, but if we can scrap a draw or something away there just to get through, then
we've done it before, Pat. We've
exactly.
drawn before over there, and come very close to another draw as well. So it's definitely not out with our reach. If we can play to our capabilities, we could definitely do it. Unfortunately we are in a position where we're looking for some little favours elsewhere as well. But No, that was good. I like that from Jerry. We've got to keep our feet in the ground as well, I suppose, and just remember that let's not forget where some other teams are playing just now, and they would honestly give their right arm to be where we are just now. So
I think
no, it's a good little check actually. It's a good little check that we need to just enjoy the fact that we're in this competition. There's still 2 more games to enjoy. Let's put the Ajax game behind us and see how we do in the last 2 games.
So I was just going to jump in there. Even outside Scotland, if you look at some of the teams in the Premiership and the resources and the money they've got, and that they are not playing
exactly
in the Champions League and in the group stage, we need to be. I think we need to be grateful for what we've got and that we're playing with the big boys.
Yeah, no, spot on, man, spot on. Right, guys, listen, I'm going to move off the football side of things. I do want to cover this tonight, though, if that's okay. But we'll summarise by saying that we were obviously disappointed with that result against Ajax, but we're sounding as if we're going to get right behind the team for the last 2 games. But we can't escape the stuff that happened off the park pre-match, prior to the game. You know, the build-up to it. There was some trouble in Amsterdam itself, but also there was a banner that many of us have seen either online or if you were at the game in the Amsterdam arena. It's certainly been doing the rounds, but if anybody hasn't seen it, the Ajax fans had basically held up a banner that quite literally said, "Fenian bastards." Now, whether people are offended at that is neither here nor there. It was obviously up there to provoke. They've obviously got an element of their fans. I don't doubt that Ajax have got plenty of really good fans, but there is an element in their fans that they don't like us for whatever reason. You can make your own guesses, I suppose. But when they were over in Glasgow, there was a lot of trouble. Now again, we're half the world away, so we hear a lot of this stuff second hand, but we were certainly aware of some trouble that happened in Glasgow with their fans. I mean, they were smashing the place up in certain places pre-match. There was kind of warnings, and Celtic fans were advised to watch themselves when they went to Amsterdam. So there was obviously some undertones there. That there could be trouble. Now, we've seen what's on YouTube. There's plenty of instances and plenty of videos as well. Pat, you'd sent something out during the week as well. The Amsterdam police themselves seem to be a bit heavy-handed in the way they dealt with certain people. Celtic fans could have been provoked. Some Celtic fans could have actually been getting involved themselves. I'll be honest with you guys, from what I've seen, the pre-match stuff and what's the name? Is it the square, Dam Square or something like that?
Dam Square, aye.
Dam Square, and when I saw some of those videos, I remember that I was on a European trip. We went to Stuttgart, and the massive big square that they've got there, it must be about four times the size of George Square, maybe 6 times the size of George Square, the Schlossplatz. And I remember that place, it was just full of Celtic fans. Everybody had their carry-outs. They were drinking. Okay, there was a bit of mess around and stuff like that. But it was just guys just, having a bit of a laugh, having a bit of a sing-song. Some of the videos I saw, it looked very similar to that, a bit smaller than the Schlossplatz, but Dam Square looked a bit similar. There was loads of beer lying around, drink lying around, a bit of a sing-song. Maybe guys getting a little bit tanked up a little bit early. But then all you saw were, I presume, the Ajax fans kind of wading into the Celtic fans. The police coming in, hitting anybody quite randomly. It didn't look nice. I must admit, I was a bit surprised with that video you'd sent through to me as well, Pat, because it's not often you see our fans getting embroiled in that kind of situation. But I think the reason I was most surprised was because I was thinking, wait a minute, is this our fans actually starting throwing stuff as well? And you don't expect it. And there was a bit of that going on as well. Now, whether our guys, a lot of them were defending themselves, I just didn't know what to make of it, and I was a little bit shocked, to be honest, with what I'd seen. I'd heard there was a bit of bother before the game, and I guess Pat had put out a tweet earlier on today, but if there is anybody listening to this, whether it's live or whether it's later on, it'd be great if we could hear from you if you were there and give us your own experiences, your own encounters, or whatever happened. I have managed to read a little bit more about it as well, and it does seem to be there was a lot of heavy-handed tactics by the Amsterdam police. The Ajax fans were there; they were looking to cause trouble. I've no doubts in my mind about that at all. But whatever way we look at it, guys, it's not went down too well. We've got a fantastic reputation, not just in British football or European football or world football. As world football, we've got a great reputation. I was just speaking to a guy at my work here the other day. He's a Juventus fan, but he even knows. He was actually telling guys when I said I was a Celtic supporter. He was telling other boys, "Oh yeah, Celtic. They've got the best fans in the world. UEFA, they've given them this kind of stuff." So it's known throughout the world that the reputation our fans have got, and whatever way we look at it, unfortunately, this incident, whether it was the Ajax fans to blame completely and utterly, it's still tarnished our image, and that's something that sticks in the throat a little bit. Now, I'll maybe ask you first of all, Pat, for the reason being that you had sent out that kind of the video you'd sent around, but you've maybe seen a little bit more of some of the other videos that are doing the rounds online. But what's your kind of view of the whole thing?
Kind of the same as you, Kev. Like, now, I'm going to confess and say that I have never been on a European trip with Celtic, so I can't really judge and say whether that was the norm, But same as you, the thing that was kind of putting me off was all the bottles and that sort of banging in the background. But you take that aside, you put the mute button on, and you just kind of watch what happens. Mm-hmm. And you can pretty much see some guys just hanging around, mind their own business. And then there's flipping mounted policemen, mm-hmm. flipping coming down the road and literally laying into people. So this whole thing about the plainclothes policemen. Now, if it was a video that I've seen, if that's the one that they're talking about, I'm not surprised that these guys get flipping noses broken and injuries and stuff like that, because no offence to them, but if some guy not in a police uniform and not in any sort of official uniform starts noising you up and starts hitting you, what on earth are you going to start doing? Are you just going to stand there and take it? Mm-hmm. Now, I'm certainly not a fan. I'm a really pish fighter. I'm not hiding that in any way, shape, or form. But I'm going to defend myself. If some guys, casual looking or not, I don't care. If you're dressed in normal gear and you start laying into me, I'm going to fight back. You can say whatever you want. You can say police or whatever. I don't care until I see a policeman in there with your uniform on. It's fair game. I'm going to fight back. I'm going to do everything I can, and I'm not surprised the Celtic fans retaliated with regards to that. Because if it is the same video, and again, a lot of people have probably seen it, the guy with the sort of cream-coloured jacket on, who just seemed to take absolute amazing pleasure in flipping and kneeing a guy in the balls and punching him in the head and punching him in the ribs.
Yeah.
For a couple of minutes, it was just like, it's astounding that these guys are flipping policemen. So no offence, in lab. I know it's. You see some of this stuff when I think it was one with the trams. I don't know if you saw the trams going by that. And Celtic fans, I think, they were attacking somebody at it. But see, if somebody posted it today, it was on one of these little animated GIF things. One of the people that they were actually trying to get at was that so-called policeman with the cream jacket on. Right. And the reason I was laughing at it is because if you actually look at the video, he's running away from them backwards and runs into a lamppost.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite funny. And it's no offence, but again, I don't care if you're a policeman or not. If you're dressed in casual gear and you're laying into my mates, you're going to have it coming to you. You're going to have it absolutely coming to you. So, yeah, there's a lot. I don't know. You feel kind of really upset about it because it's, as you say, it tarnished our image. We don't go out looking for trouble, and we don't go seeking it. But I don't know if I didn't send it to you guys today, but there was a guy, I can't remember who tweeted it now. I might even have favorited it on on Twitter, and what they'd done is he basically checked for any previous that the Amsterdam police had done, and there was a couple of games. They showed when Benfica and Chelsea, I think, was it a Europa League or Champions League? It must have been Europa League final or something. And they're running through the street, and all you see is that these plainclothes policemen doing the same thing. They're just grabbing guys out of the crowd and, and they're just huckling them and moving them away. So the second one, which I thought was equally interesting, was they did the same thing with Steaua Bucharest fans who were in, looks like pretty much the same place where the Celtic fans were. And they're just standing in a crowd sort of singing, and they've got the big flag and all that sort of stuff. And somebody, I think, lets off like a smoke bomb or something like that. And the next thing, the police just weigh in, and they're literally just picking guys out of the crowd and hitting them with big batons and stuff like that. And then there must be 24 policemen doing the same thing. They just start laying into these guys, and it's just like, and don't get me wrong, it was a far, far smaller group of people than what Celtic fans had there, but the principle was the same. They were just...
It's the way they deal with it.
Yeah, and it's... I mean, the Ajax fans, like, in truth... I'm not saying I was an Ajax fan. I probably had a soft spot for them because growing up as a kid, everybody knew the top, and everyone knew, like, kind of guys our age anyway, Kev, like, Johan Cruyff and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I probably did have a bit of a soft spot for them, but I'll tell you, after the recent performance, not that I really cared that somebody like me would like them, but they can go shove it. I am officially now a Feyenoord fan because anything against that mob is fine by me, because that was an absolute disgrace. The Fenerbahce stuff, in truth, that doesn't really offend me, because I mean, it's the sort of stuff we used to hear every day of your life, especially where we come from, Kev. You have the Coat Bridge sort of thing. You heard it every single day. Is it any worse than what the Hamburg fans did with the no surrender thing, the big Union Jack with the no surrender?
Yeah.
Probably not. It's far tamer than that. If they were going to target anybody, they would have targeted someone like Hamburg with that. You're talking the whole end of the ground. I don't know if you recall, it was like blue and white, like a big Union Jack, and I'm sure it had no surrender across the middle of it. But at the same time, is it any worse than fuck UEFA? Well, probably no. There's no better or no worse. So how they can how it can slip through the net and Celtic get fined for that thing, and Ajax don't get fined for another. And I'm glad. I'm really, 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 really happy that Celtic have taken up the fight for the Celtic fans on this one, because they absolutely deserve it. They absolutely deserve it. They went there and they backed the team, and there's a couple of guys, Brian McAvoy up in Sydney. I don't know if you're mates with him on Twitter, but real nice guy. I've met him a couple of times. And real genuine guy. But I'll be honest with you, see, and looking at his pictures, it looked an absolutely brilliant trip in Amsterdam. But there's just a little part of me thinks that someone like him could just get, you're talking one punch, one kick, one accident, and someone like that gets really injured, and it's a guy, I don't get me wrong, I don't know him well, but I do know him, he's a nice guy and stuff, and you just think, he comes all the way from Australia and then gets thrown in the middle of that, so it looks as if he came out, scot-free and stuff, but I think him and they say there's 28 Scottish people or something like that arrested, and they're now talking about fans of other teams were involved, which I'm no doubt St. Pauli were. I heard some of their fans were over there as well, but I'm not saying they caused trouble, far from it. I think it was one of those things that, and it's the same scenario, if you prod and poke people enough times, they're going to react, and I think that's what happened with Celtic fans.
Pat, Stephen Harvey is tweeted in as well, just to say, have you got the links to those clips? So maybe if you're able to put that out.
I'll try and find them. Yeah, I mean, there was a couple.
Specifically that one that you'd sent us during the week as well, because it's very good quality clip. It's in high definition as well. It's not done on a phone or anything like that. It's obviously a video camera, but it's a good. I guess it's a good timeline of events as to what happened. But if you can, Pat, just stick it out there, and people that haven't seen it can maybe have a look at that and make their own mind up.
Yeah, I'll do that right now.
Now, boys, I've got a question to ask. What I heard during the first game, some Celtic fans stole the Ajax fans' flag and put it upside down or something. Is that actually the case, or was that just a bit of rubbish on the internet or something?
The only flag stealing I've heard about came from the Ajax fans stealing Celtic banners.
No, what Mark was talking about, the Celtic fans stole an Ajax banner in Glasgow, And
right,
and
okay.
at the Green Brigade, they turned it upside down, which apparently in ultras terms is a bit of an insult, and apparently
Yeah.
that's why things kicked off. Now, I don't know if you saw it or not, but on Twitter I saw this before the game. They actually took the flag back to Holland and they burnt it. There was actually
Right,
pictures of
okay.
them setting a light to that flag. So, but on a lighter note, did anyone see the picture of the Ajax badge? It's like a guy inside a sort of round.
Yep.
Did you see the one with the guy was holding a cock and putting it in his mouth? Someone had it was
Tweet
gold.
that as well. Tweet that out there
I'll
as
let you
well.
find it. It was absolutely gold. So yes, whoever did that one, fair dues to you, buddy. That was hilarious.
Definitely tweet that out. I mean, Liam, have you had chance to see any of the clips or the footage or read any of the articles about this? What's your take on it, Liam?
Well, the thing is, as you know, guys, I used to be a journalist, and the way the Scottish media has been covering this the last sort of 36 hours has been an absolute disgrace.
Yeah.
Absolute disgrace. Totally one-sided.
Yeah.
Clearly, guys with a hard agenda cannot wait to stick the boot into Celtic at any opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
However, in saying that, there is, and it really pains me to say this, but there is an element in our support, and I noticed it a few years ago when I was still a season ticket holder.
Yeah.
I noticed it. There's this. I'd call them daft wee boys, stupid young guys, Neds, who just want to start a fight, and they kind of latch on to what you call the ultra thing, and the Green Brigades are completely unconnected to this. However, there is this sort of entourage that hang around where the Green Brigade are and tend to start trouble. Then the Green Brigade get the blame for it.
Yeah.
And the thing that bothered me as well, looking on Twitter the last couple of days, and I've been reading a lot of Twitter recently. There's been a lot of Celtic fans who were not there and just flatly straight out, nothing to do with us. It was the police. It was the media, whatever. And see, to be quite honest, when I read that, I think, God, we sound like Huns.
Yeah.
Because that is exactly the kind of pish the Huns were coming out with when Manchester happened.
Mm-hmm.
It was Chelsea fans dressed up, Rangers fans. It was the police. It was no. We've got to. The thing is, we are Celtic. We're one of the biggest teams in the world, and we've got a massive fan base. But that also means we've got a lot of enemies. We've got to remember, in Scotland, we've got a Hun media, we've got a largely Hun police force, and we've got a Hun judiciary. So they've all got it in for us, and we've got to be whiter than white. And a small number of fans did let us down the other night. There were guys throwing stones at a tram. Now, I don't care who was on that tram. You don't throw stones at a tram because some innocent woman or wains might get hit. You just don't do that,
Mm-hmm.
And really, I think that the blame probably sits 85 to 90% with the Dutch police and about 10% with us. And we have to accept that 10%,
Do you think it's tarnished our image then, worldwide? How far has this gone?
I really hope not. But the sad thing is that, as I say, with the media having its own agenda, and this isn't just Scottish, like Sky News as well, we're quite keen to report that, Scottish football fans rioting and whatever. You've got so many agendas against Celtic right now. And really, if we do even the smallest little thing, we're just playing into their hands. And
let's face it, it is a newsworthy story, because if we are the best fans in the world, we've got the best reputation in club football for having the best fans. If we are involved in anything like this at all, it's a news story. It's newsworthy.
Well, it also means anything we do is going to be magnified by 1,000% because we've got that reputation. Mm-hmm. British journalism in particular, it's their nature. They want to build guys up and then knock them down. Mm-hmm. Celtic have built up this reputation with their fans, and now the press are gunning for us because they think, everyone thinks they're the best in the world. Let's bring them down,
Look, I think it's also, and I think you're right. If you take it for the Amsterdam police, we fill a square, we're all steaming. It can actually be. It depends. It can either be a really fun atmosphere, or it can actually be, Jesus, this thing going to go out of hand. They're going to wreck a place type thing. Certainly not justifying what it did, and I'm totally agreeing with you, Pat. That the copper with the beige jacket, totally out of order and everything. But you'd like to see the full run up on it. There's been quite a few times when you've seen one video clip or something and it looks terrible. Then you see it from 3 different angles and you go, actually, the coppers were right. And certainly not saying the coppers are right at all in this, but I'm just saying, you need to look at it from all sides, sort of thing. And guys, Liam's totally right. Throwing things at trams. What are you up to? You seriously, what we doing? We've got a brilliant reputation. We should keep that brilliant reputation. And the getting absolutely steaming, in a big European trip. Like I've not been on a European trip. I did go down to Manchester for Giggs' testimonial, and I'll be honest, we got there about 4:00, and there was guys steaming everywhere, and it was all good natured, no hassle at all. It was brilliant. But there is that element, and I think especially in a European trip when it is, you're either on a coach or you're in a city from 10 in the morning and getting on the gas. So I don't know. I think we need to behave ourselves, and even what you're saying, Pat, like stealing another club's flag and then setting fire to it. Do you need to do that? Seriously, like it might be an ultra thing and it might be good. We're better than you. But realistically, you've just pissed them off, and you're then taking a group of our fans there. So that's probably
I think, looking to it, I think if you look at how many Celtic banners were stolen in Amsterdam, by all accounts, it was far more than just the one flag. So I think it's just one of these, one-upmanship sort of thing that we've got your flag. So it's nothing more. It's the same as like when the Celtic guys in Govan pinched the Craig White banner and all that sort of stuff. It's the same sort of thing. It's not. Yeah, that's banter if you put it that way. That's just gamesmanship. But there's a big difference between that and by all accounts. And then if it's one or two, I can get it, and I get the whole thing. A guy's hitting trams and that sort of thing. But if you look at who they're actually trying to attack at that point, it was the guys that were attacking them. I'm not defending what they did. There happened to be 2 trams going by, but if you actually look at who they were actually targeting at that point, the guy with the beige jacket is right in the middle of it. Right in the middle of it. So again, I'm not defending anybody, and I don't like the fact that there was guys pissed and all that sort of stuff, but that's just what happens. That's what happens when you go on those trips, and the Amsterdam police will be used to that. They'll have seen that come and go for the past 20 years, so they know the situation. They'll know the reputation we have is like just put them in a square, let them get drunk, let them dissipate, and they'll go home. But by all accounts, they didn't do much to protect the Celtic fans, and in fact they probably made things even worse by weighing in themselves. The whole heavy-handed stuff, just doesn't work. Just doesn't work, and we don't have that sort of reputation. That didn't have to happen. Now, I can get it if it was one or two little things that were said, but there are too many stories coming out now from different people, young people, old people, men, women, talking about this level of intimidation. You just look at the thing that happened in the pub. We saw the CCTV stuff, and you just look at what happened there. Now, I don't know, but if I were you, and I was in that pub, I'd be absolutely cacking myself. I've got 2 young kids and stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the guys are in there with the same thing. You'd be sitting there, pub, having a couple of drinks with your mates, having a bit of a sing-song, and all of a sudden there's 200 guys outside the door with flipping with baseball bats and stuff like that, trying to get in and flipping knives and all, God only knows what, trying to get to you. What would you be thinking? Even the guy
I'd be thinking, I've never heard the word flipping so much in one night in my life.
No, did Harry Enfield not used to do it with Smashy and Nicey? Was it Smashy and Nicey?
The flipping this and flipping that. But that's when Pat's angry. And he's got a good point to make, because he'll say flipping all the time.
I know, it's kind of weird, because having 2 young kids, you can't really swear very much. You kind of find alternatives. So that's maybe one of my alternatives. So yes, it's been trained into me for over the past 5-6 years. But you know what I mean, it's just, I guess I'm venting, but I'm not saying Celtic fans, they're not innocent in any way, shape or form. Not everyone is. But I just say that same thing. If you poke and prod somebody enough times, they're going to snap and they'll bite back. So anyway, that's rant over.
The thing is with us, right now, I've been fortunate enough to have been able to go on a few, and it is only a few European trips. I've not been in millions, but it is. And I know, Pat, you're not a massive drinker or whatever, right? I like a beer, and I like to go and do the whole getting pissed out of my head thing, and I will happily drink from 6:30 in the morning, Martin Kelly, right through to whatever time. But I'm a happy drunk, not an angry or a violent drunk, right? So I can do all that stuff. And any away fan that I'll bump into is a great mate if they want to be mates with me, right? So the whole thing about European trips that I've experienced, they've always been great, good-natured stuff, because the teams we've been playing, they like the fact that we love having fun, and that's what we do, and that's what 99.9% of Celtic fans do when we go away from home. There is, and this is, I totally agree with you now, Pat. See if there are people that are goading you, that are trying to incite you, that are trying to provoke you. We're only human, right? So that we're going to stand our ground initially, and if people do start wading in, you're going to defend your position, no matter what anybody says, right? You're not going to. You're hoping that you're going to meet fans of other teams that do love that whole, camaraderie thing, and swapping scarves idea. Now there was plenty of Celtic and Ajax scarf swap. You saw them all on the telly and things like that as well. That was for the majority of them, but there's been a hardcore of Ajax fans that were out there to cause bother. And that was never ever going to happen. Now they've succeeded in their mission. They have, whatever anybody says, our reputation's been tarnished, whether we like it or not, right? There's no getting away from that fact. And whether we agree with it or not, but all we can do now is we'll keep doing what we always do. When we go to Barca, I'm sure as hell our reputation will be enhanced again, because we'll go back to normal, because the fans of Barcelona are 100 miles away from the scumbags of some of those Ajax fans that we bumped into. And we'll get our reputation back. It's going to take a little bit of time again, but let's just hope that we don't bump into fans of another team that are complete and utter arseholes, that try to goad us, that try to incite us, that try to, physically attack us. Let's face it, that's what they did. Whether that was appealing to the small minority of our fans that are ready for a square goal at the flick of a switch, or whether that's people that are abused or whatever, and they take so much and then they've got to do something to retaliate or respond. Most of us would be like that. Of course we would. You can only take so much before you've got to do something. And I think looking back on it and reading and seeing what's been said with those that kind of small faction of Ajax fans, that's basically what happened, and that's what's basically caused what happened during the week there. And it's just sad that there was too many of our guys had to get involved in that stuff, but they were basically defending themselves, I would say. Liam's point about the whole way it's been portrayed in this, particularly the Scottish media, and I guess wider the British media, has been shocking. Just the slant they're putting on it as well. The order they showed some certain video clips in as well has been pretty shocking. STV News, I believe, was showing some. There was somebody put a tweet, I can't remember who it was, put it out now, but it was last night. But STV News back home had shown certain images, but it was all the violent stuff first of all, and then it showed you our guys having a sing-song and all the rest of it, and just things like that. It's just portrays the image of the whole incident completely wrong. It's totally misrepresentation. Anyway,
another one I sent to you last night as well on Facebook. There was a good one from, I don't even know who runs this, but there's a Facebook group or account called Football Culture. That's all one word, so Football Culture. If you go in and look at that, it only goes for a minute or so, and it was pretty good as well, and very clear. It's actually a minute or two it goes for, but Football Culture. Just go and have a look on Facebook for it, and it had a cracking video, and it was just again in the square, and it was late at night, but it's really good quality and stuff as well, so you get a bit of an idea there. And keep an eye out for the guy. I don't know if you caught it, Kev, on the video I think I sent to you last night, with the guy leaning against the telegraph pole.
Yes, I did.
With his pint in his hand. There's all this chaos going on right about him, and there's a guy just standing there holding his pint.
Quite the thing.
Oblivious. So it's quite funny. But
just another old night in Old Dam Square.
Yep. Well, see, another thing as well, again, I don't know if anyone does listen to this that was in Amsterdam or not, but Celtic are looking for as much evidence and facts and pictures and videos as they can get a hold of. So I think it was John Paul Taylor was looking for it. Actually, I'll try and find the email address. I can't remember if it's JP Taylor, I think it is, at celtic.co.uk. I'll find it anyway, but he was looking for information to be sent to him. So if anybody has anything, or you got any friends that have stuff from their phone or photographic evidence, then send it through to Celtic, because they are doing I guess some sort of report into what happened. And I think this is one occasion where they actually are standing up for the fans, and thank God they are, because they need somebody backing them. So there was too many reports of bad things happening that it's no sort of small coincidence. It wasn't just one incident that caused this. So so anyway, I'll try and find that address. I'm sure it's JP Taylor at celticfc.co.uk, but I'll go and double check.
Cheers, Pat. Right, guys, it's now 10 past or 13 minutes past midnight in Tittybong. It's the same in Melbourne. It's let me see, it's 13 minutes past 10 in Osaka. Is that right, Liam?
That's right, aye.
And it's only 9:15 in Perth, Western Australia, and good old Mandurah town. So I'm willing to go for another wee while yet. Now, the reason I'm saying this, guys, is because the next subject matter that we spoke about, or I mentioned at the start of the show, Liam here has got something that he believes could be quite controversial. It's about the whole Chinese deal that the SPF KGPL 9 FC Liga Scottish has signed up to. Now, guys, we can agree to discuss this now, but I have a funny feeling it might go on for a while. Or I'm quite happy to stay up. As I said, it's only 9:15 here. But I know, Pat, you've got an early rise. Or we could condense it into a very quick thing, but I don't want to steal Liam's thunder here, because this could be juicy. What's the verdict, Pat? Are you willing to stay with us, mate? Because you're the man in control here, Mr. Producer.
I think Liam's got to have his platform. I think he's got to. he's on his soapbox, so let him do it.
This is good. I'm looking forward to this. Right. So, Martin, are you okay to stay with us, mate?
Look, well, I'll give it a try, but there is a point where, like, mate, I need bed.
Martin.
Christ,
it's all right. Martin, we just agree with him. Whatever he says, just go, you're right, and then I'll play the song at the end, and it'll be it all over. So.
Well, look, I tell you what, right? Look, I'll keep going for a minute or two. If Liam gets too boring, I'm going to go for a nana nap, and you might need to shout me to wake me up so that I can do a funny bit at the end, do a shout out to a couple of nephews and nieces, and then I can just go to my bed.
If we hear you snoring on top of your dishwasher, we'll give you a shout.
I've now moved into the living room because I'm watching a bit of Michael Collins at the same time, so it's all good.
For crying out loud. Michael Collins as in the movie?
Aye.
Oh, that is a brilliant movie. What's it on?
Gem at the moment, and Liam Neeson.
Seriously?
Aye, it's good actually. They're on bikes at the moment, going across the beach, but obviously I've got no sound because I'm talking to you boys, but it's good. Good movie. I'm a Liam Neeson fan. I think he's a good boy.
Fair play. Right, okay, watch your Michael Collins and we'll give you a shout in a minute then.
Okay.
Right, Liam, right, now, so what we're talking about here, if anybody that doesn't know, I'm sure most people have maybe seen online, albeit it's taking a bit of a back seat because of this whole Amster-Dammit stuff. The Scottish League, let's call it to be short, has signed a deal with a Chinese pay-per-view internet channel. It's not a TV channel, is that right, Liam? It's an internet pay-per-view thing.
Well, it's a wee bit more complicated than that, but
right, okay, well, yeah, right. In fact, no, you explain the whole thing, mate. On you go, and give us your views.
Okay, well, to give you a wee bit of background, as I said before, I was in Hong Kong for a few years, and I've been to China a few times, and I know, because I used to be a journalist, I know how the media works over there, or rather how it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Basically, what Celtic and the SPFL are not telling us is this deal is essentially with the Chinese government. Because
Liam's going to get shot before this programme's out.
Right.
There's a plane on its way to Osaka now, mate.
What?
Can I just say to everybody here, the views that are on this podcast are not necessarily the views of Pat Close, Martin Kelly, or Kevin O'Neill.
No,
They're the views of Liam Carrigan in Osaka, Japan.
I'm ready to
Not
start
even,
singing
different country and everything.
I'm ready to start singing the Japanese national anthem personally.
Right, Liam, listen,
Right.
go for life, mate, go for it.
But for the sake of disclaimers, I'll say they are my views. If you Chinese want to have a go, bring it on. Anyway. Right, anyhow.
Right, shut him down. Right, no, Liam, sorry, on you go. This is a very democratic show.
Sounds right. Just somebody put a bullet in my head, okay? Right, anyhow. Basically, all media contracts in China go through the state TV channel, which is CCTV.
Right.
Now,
Closed
basically
circuit television.
well, Chinese something. I can't remember the title, but it's basically like China's equivalent to the BBC, right? But basically, media in China is so heavily regulated that nothing is allowed to pass unless the government approves it. And basically, CCTV is entirely state-owned, so it's basically a government propaganda channel. Now, I don't think I need to tell you guys that China routinely brutalizes, mutilates, rapes and murders thousands of its own people every week for the sake of suppressing information. Now, basically, CCTV plays a massive part in that because they are the state's media outlet. They control what is put out on national TV. They control how it's reported. They control the perspective that is put on it in the public domain. So basically, I talk about guys that are complicit in genocide. And these are the guys that Celtic and the SPFL have just signed a contract with for 10 years. And I don't know about you, but I am utterly disgusted by that. It totally goes against the founding values of Celtic, and I'm sure of a few other clubs in the SPFL as well. You know, we're supposed to be...
Do you think our guys have been as well informed as this, Liam, or have they just seen, like, probably all of us lay people have seen the opportunity to go into a country that's got however many billion people living in it and saying there's some money to be made there?
But you see, here's the thing, right? I've just presented to you the moral argument, right? Now let's look at the financial argument.
Yeah.
The culture of Chinese football fans is pretty similar to the culture of Japanese football fans. They follow a player. They don't follow a team, right? You think about how many Japanese were coming to Celtic Park when we had Nakamura, and to a lesser extent when we had Koki Mizuno, right? What are they now? They've all buggered off back to Japan because we don't have any Japanese players anymore, right? It's the exact same with China. Chinese football fans, if you talk to them, you know, they'll say, "Oh, I love watching Zidane, or I love watching Messi, or I love watching, I don't know, Ronaldo or whatever." They'll never say, "I love watching Celtic, I love watching Man United." No, it's players, right? And Celtic do not have at the moment any star players that would interest a Chinese audience. So two things. One, morally, we've completely sold out our values by signing up with the Chinese government. And two, we're not going to make any money out of it long term anyway. This deal will not last 10 years because interest will wane after, I would guess, 2 or 3 years tops.
Have you heard, though, Liam, that we are, and again, it's only speculation, but it's been in the, well, it was in some article I read, we're meant to be linked with signing some Chinese midfielder. Have you seen that?
The guys that did it, I've already looked at it. It's another Douay, basically.
Is he?
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I've read reports on him. I've watched videos of him on YouTube. Looks great playing in the Chinese league.
Yeah.
Remember, this is a league where routinely players are bought off, games are fixed. You cannot assess a player's ability based on his performance in the Chinese Super League because the league has no credibility whatsoever.
Now, you could, I suppose, cynically say, if we sign this guy and he's pretty average or even less than average, if we've signed him and what you're saying is correct, and I've no reason to doubt it at all, Liam, they'll put him into maybe 1, 2, 3 games. If that's getting broadcast in Chinese national television, it's going to attract, say, a few million views because their top player, even although he might be shite, is playing with us. Is it going to be? Is a money-driven thing?
And that's the
Obviously.
thing, it won't be, because the cable channel, the internet channel we're talking about, PPTV. Now, I used to watch some of their streams in Hong Kong because basically PPTV is the biggest, how can I put this, the biggest outlet for uploads of Hollywood films that haven't been released in China. Basically, it's one big pirate station, right? Now, for every one person who watches an SPFL game legitimately paying a subscription, there'll be 25 who are downloading it without paying for it. So really, this whole model is just fundamentally flawed. You know, any sort of financial deal you enter into with a TV station is based on honesty, right? You know, for example, Google stopped doing business with China 2 years ago, right? Now, their official reason was, oh, they're violating human rights and we can't do it. The truth is, Google were not making any money because they're putting in all their technology, all their resources, and the Chinese were just copying it and ripping it off left, right, and centre. And the exact same thing is going to happen with football. You're going to have counterfeit Celtic tops all over China. You're going to have the football games being ripped and streamed on other websites, and the whole thing is just one massive counterfeiting racket. And we're now paying into that. You know, it really it's really short-sighted from a business sense, and it's even more short-sighted from a moral human rights sense.
Liam, I wish you had this conversation with Peter Lawwell a few months back. Listen, guys,
can I make a wee comment there?
You can, Martin. On you go.
All right, look, I'm not as well informed as Liam is, but there's a couple of things I've got. Look, it's going to probably be counterfeit by 25 people compared to the one guy that does it legitimately. But that also happens in the West as well. And maybe there is a whole lot of counterfeit tops, but again, that happens in the West as well. Look, I take it from a sort of different point of view, which is, look, sorry, this is taking the human rights stuff to the side. So just from a business point of view, I think Celtic's looking at China because the standard traditional markets for Celtic overseas, so if you take America, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, so where realistically the Scots and Irish emigrated to, there isn't the immigration anymore that there used to be. You know, like there used, you know, if you take, and I think it was back in the 80s, it was more Irish people outside Ireland. There wasn't in Ireland, you know, if you look at the big towns in America, your Bostons and New York's filled with Irish. It's just nowhere near the numbers that it was. So realistically, within probably 20 or 30 years, the core of that support is going to have gone, and it's the same here in Australia. So I think Celtic has to try and look and expand. I think 1.2 billion people is worth a roll of the dice. But I think, unfortunately for us, unless we're doing really, really well in Europe, we're going to struggle there. Now, it all depends whether this is a real, proper deal that they're trying to put together, or is it, look, you know what, send somebody out there, spend a little bit of money, roll the dice, and if we can get on some channels and get some viewings, get some people following us, then we might make some money out of that. I think it depends how hardcore it's going. Now, Celtic are still, you know, they're out in Australia twice in the last 5 or 6 years. They are playing some games in America. And yeah, look, we have a huge amount more to do as a club. But the also thing is we can't be all things to all people. Now, I've heard on other podcasts, you know, why don't we send somebody to America and launch our top there? Like, probably it's just not worth the money to do it. I think there is some things we should be doing at the convention. We should be sending players. We should be sending trophies to get stuff. We should be trying to sell some merchandise there in the States and here. But I think they're also having to expand to other places. That's why, you know, I think with the Naka deal, it was good to be playing in Japan and stuff, though it was literally a fly-in, fly-out type deal. But I think we do need to be trying to be expanding. But I do think it's almost chicken and egg thing. I think you need that success, and you need, and I think Liam's right, you need those Asian-based players or Asian original players in order to try and get success there as well. So I think, look, and again, I don't know the money that's involved, but it might be worth a try to do it. But I just hope they've not spent too much money on it.
Well, let's remember though, Martin. I mean, the way we're talking, this is obviously a Celtic podcast, so we're talking about Celtic's interests here. It's not actually Celtic that's done the deal, of course. It's the Scottish League, it's the SPFL, and all those other letters I usually add in, right? So
did Lawwell not go out? That's what I thought.
Yeah, Lawwell's he's part of the committee that went out to agree it, so he's obviously been privy to it. But it is an SPFL deal, first and foremost, right? But Celtic are obviously, either, I wouldn't say hanging on the coattails, because I'm pretty sure Law was quite influential, but and that's why I'm keen. And for anybody listening to this, now, we didn't know, Liam had told us during the week that he had some strong views on this, and I've been delighted to hear them, and I think you've made some brilliant points, Liam, and it's stuff that I'll be honest with you, Liam, I hadn't considered it until you started talking about it there. I was...
Well,
I don't know why it didn't click, because they're a communist country. They've obviously still been. I know they're kind of trying to grasp at the coattails of capitalism and stuff like that now as well. But fundamentally, they're a communist country. The government controls a hell of a lot.
The thing
so
is,
obviously they must have a lot to do.
China ceased to be a communist country about 25 years ago. It's now a capitalist dictatorship. But that's a debate for another time. But
Look, the only thing,
the other thing is though, just to pick
Wait
up
a
on
minute,
what
Martin. Let Liam go.
Aye.
Sorry, Martin. Just to pick up on what you said. You said, of course, there would be counterfeiting in the West as well, right? But are any Western countries actively complicit in counterfeiting? I mean, are their governments actively supporting it? Because that's the way it is in China. The governments will actively try. I mean, if you look, for example, at the internet, if you look at the state-sponsored providers of internet in China, they are basically ripping off Microsoft and Google, and they have been for years, right? Counterfeiting is not a crime in China; it's a culture. It's what they do, and we should not be putting our brands anywhere near it. It's commercial suicide.
So Liam, in terms of the counterfeiting stuff, and Martin's right, it's happening. It happens in Australia. Look, Martin would cast his mind back to when we used to play our former rivals who are now deceased. We might just have 200 guys in the pub. It would be half a dozen guys with fake Celtic tops there.
They probably bought them in China. And I tell you, I've actually got I swear to God, this is true. I'll send you a picture if you don't believe me. I actually have a fake Celtic top, blue and white hoops.
Blue and white
hoops, are they?
Yep. Yeah. Still got it.
Yeah.
I've seen that before.
I saw that in Hong Kong last year, actually. Yeah.
So yes, I bought one just for the sake. It was like $10. I thought I'm buying it for a laugh, just as a bit of a wind up, and it's tucked away in a drawer somewhere. So it happens everywhere. Now, in terms of the deal you're talking about, the Chinese thing is one. I think that's one component, because they didn't sign a deal with that PP Live mob. It was unsold by. I had to go and try and find this. I knew it was another company, but the company's actually called
CCTV. That's what I'm saying. All Chinese media deals go through CCTV.
What I'm saying, the Scottish League have signed a deal with MP and Silva. It's not anything to do with PP Live. Apparently, is like a Chinese partner of this MP and Silva company. So obviously, the Scottish League have sold. They've said, right, we'll give you the rights to sell the games online. You can do whatever the hell you want with it. And then this MP Silva went, well, we've got these guys in China. We'll on-sell to them. Now, the article I saw was, and I think it was in the Scotsman, was talking about 60 million, potential audience of 60 million people. No offence or anything, but if you've got a channel of some sort with Italian TV and Spanish TV, and the Scottish Premier League is on there, the actual viewing figures are going to be tiny. They are going to be so minute compared to, forget about people walking around with Celtic tops on. They're going to be watching Barcelona, they're going to be watching Real Madrid, they're going to be watching Man U and Liverpool and Chelsea and teams like that.
Unless there's a shitty Chinese player playing for Celtic.
Unless there's a shitty Chinese player playing for Celtic. So that whole thought of guys walking around China with Celtic tops on is fairly unlikely. So
the other thing to remember is that, they say, China's got a population of 1.2 billion, right? More than half of them live in abject poverty. Will never get anywhere near a telly or a computer, right? So immediately that's halved, right? of that other one, of the other half, how many are going to be subscribers to this particular channel? About, even if, just let's be generous and say it is 60 million, right?
Yeah, let's
Right?
say. Well, let's even. Yeah.
How many of them are going to be interested in the Scottish League? How many of them are going to be interested in Celtic? And how many of them are actually going to want to buy merchandise after watching Celtic? And especially, how many of them are going to pay the ridiculous charges that Celtic charge for their shirts, etc., when they can just buy a counterfeit round the corner that looks the exact same?
Mm-hmm.
But Liam,
I would
that's
say
going to
a
happen.
lot of this has got to do with just trying to get, like, if I think you watch one of the channels here, they actually just show Liverpool TV for free during, a week later or something. It could just be brand exposure. But look, I actually agree with you. This panacea of 1.2 billion Chinese will see your product if you go and sponsor a team there or something. It is absolutely ridiculous. And I think it all comes down to the deal was done. Was it done that it makes us some money? Is it done on purely, listen, some people will see it and you know what, it's a new market, and even if you pick up another 100,000 people that claim to be a fan and only 10% of those buy tops, or even 1% of those buy tops may sell another 1,000 tops or something. It's all going to be a numbers game, and again, as Kev says, it's done through the whatever the SPL deal is. So it could simply just be for them to say, listen, there's just some more people looking at your brand. So if you've got international brands in your top, you might do a little bit more, or hoardings at the side. But yeah.
But what I would say to that is there's plenty of other markets that Celtic are underutilising right now, and America's one of them. I do think we're not exploiting America to the full. You're right, it's not the market it used to be, but I still think it's being badly underutilised, right? There's still Japan. Japan is still fertile ground, even though we don't have any Japanese players anymore. I just think there are plenty of countries we could engage with who don't murder their own people on a daily basis. That's my main argument against it. And
Liam, see, to be honest, mate, that's the point that I've taken more from what you've mentioned there than anything else. Is the whole point of we're getting into something that the Chinese government could be across absolutely every deal that gets done. It's not so much about the exposure or the money or anything else or the opportunities. It's about doing deals with a corrupt government, basically. I think that was the thing for me that I took out of what you were saying more than anything. And are we happy as Celtic fans getting involved with something like that?
The thing is, you think about like the... Sorry.
Yeah, I'm all right, guys. One at a time. Pat, on you go yourself.
Well, coming back, the counter argument is they haven't signed any deal with any Chinese government or anything. They've signed a deal with a sports media company. The sports media company have then sold that on. It's nothing to do.
Yeah,
it's not Celtic.
Pat,
it's Scottish.
But the point that Liam was making though is that everything goes through the Chinese government. It doesn't matter what company you've done a deal with in China. They sign off everything. If it's to do with the media, they sign it off. Now, I'm taking Liam at face value there. If that's not true, then fair enough. But Liam knows more about the Chinese situation than I do. So if that is true, then, we haven't signed directly a deal with the Chinese government, but effectively we have. And if we haven't done our homework and that proves to be right and correct, then we effectively have signed a deal with the Chinese government.
I have to tell you this one, though. I had to go looking for this one. I knew it was somewhere. I couldn't remember the exact terminology, but let me just read this to you. Right? This is from one of the articles. Scottish National Party leader Salmond, who is in China on a trade mission, added, in inverted commas, there is clearly a growing appetite for European football coverage in China, and now football fans across the country will be able to enjoy, are you ready for this? Will be able to enjoy the action from iconic Scottish footballing venues such as Easter Road, Fir Park and Pittodrie. Seriously.
Do you know the thing that struck me most about that quote was he's a jambo, and he never even mentioned Tynecastle.
Well, that'll be flats soon enough anyway. So
flats, glorious flats.
Look, I was going to say, can you just imagine suddenly, 100 million Chinese suddenly becoming Motherwell fans?
Why ever not?
Exactly.
Wearing
Liam,
lapsley shirts. There you go.
I'm glad you have brought this up because I'm pretty certain there's a lot of mainstream Scottish media haven't thought on some of these aspects as well.
Look,
I wouldn't
sorry,
be
Kev, can I just jump in?
I wouldn't be surprised if Liam starts getting a few phone calls.
The only thing I would say about it is that I think if Celtic are going to take that stand, or our supporters want Celtic to take that stand, our supporters better look at where most of their clothes and electrical goods are made. And if they're made in China, they better stop buying them themselves to stop Celtic going in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the difference with that is clothes and mobile phone. I mean, I'm talking on an iPad right now that was probably made in China, right? But the differences with that is you don't have a choice, right? 90% of clothes are made in China. Almost all electronics we buy in Scotland or Australia are made in China, right? This is something we do have a choice about. We can say no. And I think it's quite sad that this has come in the same month that the PLC board have said, we don't need to worry about the living wage. We don't need to worry about taking care of our own staff. And now we don't need to worry about human rights either, apparently, according to Peter Lowell. You know, and that's what really disgusts me.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you'll find, though, Liam, is that what the Scottish Premier League or the professional football league, what the hell they're called, they'll see the 20 million quid. That's all they'll be caring about. They'll see 20 million quid or 2 million quid a year for 10 years coming into their pockets. That's all they're concerned about.
Yeah, and that's the problem. But the other thing about this, and this is where I might be getting myself into hot water a wee bit, but I'm going to say it anyway.
You're not already, Liam.
Well, this is where I might get some...
Horse his head on your bed pillow tonight, mate.
Aye, well, anyway, you think about, in the last few years, people like the Green Brigade and these other fan groups, they've been very quick to condemn things like wearing the poppy, for example, right? Which, in the grand scheme of things, is a pretty trivial matter. Do you want a wee red flower on your shirt or not, right? Now, of course, it represents a greater political idea of, British imperialism and murdering the Irish, which, of course, I think is abhorrent. I would never wear a poppy in point of principle. But what we've got here is the club and the league essentially being complicit in genocide, and nobody's saying anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe it's because they don't know the ins and outs of it, but still, I find that worrying. That we're quite happy to get involved in trivial wee arguments about poppies, but when people are actively being murdered and we're doing business with these same people, that's really disturbing, I think,
Liam, I'll be honest with you. See, until you have mentioned this tonight, I'll be honest, right? I didn't think on that aspect of this whole deal at all.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for anybody else, even on this podcast, but back home in Scotland, I'm not so sure people will have picked up on that. Maybe there'll be the odd one or two, or people that are politically aware about what's going on in China or have experienced out there, but I think if people listen to this podcast, they might have a different view on it, a different thought on it. And that's why, all joking aside, I wouldn't be surprised if you get contacted by somebody to express some views on this deal that they might be doing. Now, if I had my phone right beside me just now, Chris McMonigal tweeted in earlier on to say Stuart Regan's probably signed this deal to say, because he's got to do something to prove his worth or his wage. So it's maybe a copycat deal that a lot of for example, the English Premier League teams try to do just now. They try to get in bed with some Chinese massive conglomerate or massive company or something because they see the quick buck. Nobody really thinks or stops to think and ask the question about the political side of it or what that particular country represents to the greater world, or their views on, human rights or whatever it may be. But I think you've made your point quite clear just now tonight. And I think there's plenty of people. If people do listen into this later on, they might certainly change their view on that whole thing. I'll be honest with you, Liam. I thought it was a good deal at the time. It was let's be clear here, guys. It's not a Celtic deal. It's an SPFL deal. Peter Lawwell just so happens to be on the board of there, so Celtic are along with it, and Celtic are obviously looking at ways to exploit that as well. But given what Liam said, it'd be very interesting to hear people's views on what they think of it now, because I'm certain that the majority of people listening to this podcast wouldn't have had those informed views or opinions that you've shared with us tonight, Liam.
But here's the thing, right? Is that I think that this is something that really we should have been made aware of as fans, not just Celtic fans, but the whole of Scotland should have been made aware of this before this whole deal went through. I mean, you got Alex Salmond over there basically whoring himself and Scotland to the Chinese, and the vast majority of the population have got no idea what he's signing up for. And if we do get independence next year, then, you know, we could basically end up becoming at the complete mercy of China. You know, there's been talk of the Grangemouth oil refinery being sold to China. Imagine how that would be if, like, 90% of Scotland's resources were at the mercy of the Chinese. I mean, these are the most vicious, when it comes to business, the most vicious cutthroat people on the planet today, I would say. The upper classes of the Chinese. Really, they're completely ruthless, and these are not people you want to be at the mercy of, you know?
You've put that a lot more eloquently and softer tones than you did earlier, mate.
Well, I've had time to consider my words, but, you know, it's something I do feel very strongly about.
That's evident, mate. That's evident.
Suddenly, Kev, we seem to be getting a lot more hits from Beijing at the moment. What's going on?
I hope that's
4,000 downloads already.
Let's just do the disclaimer again here.
Hey Kev, what sponsorship can we get from China? Quick, think of something.
I do a quick deal with somebody. Do a quick deal with somebody. Gant. What are those big cars called again?
Great Wall, were they not?
Great Walls, yes, Great Walls.
Yes.
Let's get some Great Walls, free Great Walls, filled full of Heineken, please.
You'll see he's on the way out of Titty Bong, you know, puff of blue smoke, bottles flying out the window.
Right, guys.
Anyway, boys, 2 hours we've been here. Come on. Let's think about winding this up.
I'm going to try to wind it up now. But right, Liam has made some fantastic points, and Liam, I'll tell you something. Thanks for making them, and also thanks for keeping them and not sharing them before the show tonight. Because for anybody listening, Liam did say that, you know, he had a few controversial things to say, but we deliberately didn't hear them before the show because we wanted to hear them live as well as anybody that's listening in or listening back later on. So thanks for saying what you've said, Liam, and it's maybe going to give a few more of our fans something to think about, and it might put a bit of pressure on.
Something to think about. That's the main thing. Just give people something to think about. Think about where we are as a club now. Think about the morality of what we're doing. Not just this deal, but as I said before, the idea with the living wage, the way fans are being treated in Amsterdam and in Scotland. You know, we're as a club morally. I shudder to think what the likes of Brother Walford or Willie Maley would think if they saw the way we are now, because it really is. It's disgraceful, some of the things that are happening right now at Celtic, and I really hope that people are going to think about that seriously, because we really need to think about where we're going as a club.
It's a difficult one to answer though, Liam, because we've come so far since we were formed, and what would the answer be?
I know.
It's tricky.
But that's something for people to ponder anyway.
Right, so tweet us and let us know what the answer is, please.
Right.
Just send your tweets in with the answer to @halftheworld88. What is the way forward for Celtic Football Club now that we're maybe going down this terrible, shoddy road of Capitalism. Communist capitalism, if there is such a thing.
Greed is good. Money, money, money.
Oh, greed is not good, Martin Kelly. Greed is
Lunches
bad,
for
mate. Oh, for Christ's sake. Right, listen. There's one final thing. And do you know what? Right, we've got a massive game in the SPFL tomorrow away to Ross County. I'm not going to say anything else apart from predictions, boys. So I'll come to you first, Patrick. What's the score away to Ross County?
Yeah, I don't think they've been playing too well recently. I think
they're ninth in the league. I think they're ninth in the league, mate.
Kilmarnock beat them as well, and Aberdeen and Ross. No, wait a minute, Motherwell. Was it Motherwell beat them? I think last week. I think it was. Or was it the week before? I can't remember. Motherwell, they've lost a few games in recent times. So if Kilmarnock can beat,
they're still a dodgy away game for us, though, mate. Especially on the back of Champions League. Yeah,
I'd like to think we can bounce back. You know, we'll get Scott Brown back in midfield. We'll get a few other guys, probably Ledley. The way I see things, we need to start getting guys fit for the Milan game. I think the Mulgrew and Kyle thing just didn't work against Ajax. I reckon it's now a case of let's go back to what we know. Ledley's obviously tried and tested in the midfield, and I think we have to get him and obviously keep Brown and Ledley fit in preparation for the Barcelona game, because next game's obviously the most important one, but obviously Brown will still be suspended for it. But I don't know. I think Ross County don't seem to be up to much this year, so I'll take a victory probably. Are they going to score? I don't think they'll score. I reckon it'll be 2-0 Celtic.
Who's going to score for us?
Stokes and Pookie.
Oh,
yep.
Martin Kelly, Ross County scoreline prediction.
I think we're going to hump them.
Oh,
I'm willing to say more than 4 goals.
Try it out loud.
It's away from home, Matty. You sure about that?
Away from home, more than 4 goals.
In the flipping freezing cold weather as well.
And at least 3 of those will be in the first half.
Okay.
So
all scored by.
No, I'm going. Well,
Virgil van Dijk.
No.
3 headers from corners.
Stokes.
Yep.
Is going to get 2. Brown will get 1.
If he's playing.
Pookie will get 1.
Oh dear. No, he won't.
And a couple other people.
So it'll be 8-0 then.
Well, no, actually my first prediction was going to be 8-0, but I thought that was just a bit too ambitious. So that's why I'm saying more than 4. Actually, and Sammy will get 1 for the sake here.
Martin, who did you bet in the Melbourne Cup?
Actually, what I did, I bet something like hopscotch, which didn't do well. However, my 3 boys, I put $2 on 3 horses. And Charlie, the oldest boy, his horse came in, and I won $14. No, wait. Trust me, there's more.
There's more.
Then, one of the boys in the marquee told me there was something soldier in the 8th race. I think 8th race, 7th race, I don't know. Anyway, he told me you could put your house on it. I rolled the $14 over.
Oh, the $14. So wait a minute. This is about £8.75 back home. £8.75.
So obviously, big spender. I'm like one of those whales at the casinos in Vegas, and picked and walked away from the bookmakers. $42 in my pocket.
Oh my!
$42. That's £26.73.
What was the original bet, Martin? How much did you put on at the start?
$2.
$2. So that's all right. $20-something to that's all right.
Aye. So I was pretty happy with that. So yes, and the Melbourne Cup was lovely. If MD is thinking, you should go to the Melbourne Cup, especially if you go in the birdcage, because it's nice and it's nice and posh there.
And there's lots of birds.
Yeah, there is.
There's tons of birds.
Aye. In fact, the marquee across the road from where I was, or across the walkway from where I was, had actually...
Was it Playboy?
had flown French can-can dancers in.
If you please. Right, anyway, enough about Melbourne Cup and your crappy bets. You never even bet the favourite. The favourite was the one that won as well.
No, that's what my son bet, and that's why he won. He won his $14.
Jesus wept. Right, okay. Right, thank you, Martin. Liam, we're going to come to you now. Ross County, away from home. What's the score prediction?
I'll say 3-1 to Celtic. I think we might go a goal down early on, but then we'll wake up and we'll come out and batter them, and then we'll end up scoring 3 or 4 later on.
Oh, wait a minute. 3 or 4 later on, or 3?
What's going on?
3-1, but we might score 4.
All right, then I'll be optimistic and say 4-1.
Oh, right, who's the goal scorers?
Right, let's say Pookie, Stokes will get 2, and Sammy will get 1.
Okay, right, so it falls down to me then, to be the poo patrol. Let me see now. Ross County, bogey. Let's remember here, boys, bogey team from last year. But we're going to beat them, and I'm going to go along with Patrick here. It's going to be 2-0 to Celtic. And the goal scorers are going to be Anthony Stokes and...
That's what you copied me exactly.
Did I?
Aye.
Right, okay.
Come on, your tool. Pick something else.
Right, the goal scorers are going to be Pookie and
Foster. Penalty.
In that order. Was that a different order from you, Pat?
Oh, good lord.
No, it's going to be 2 strikers. It's going to be 2-0. Right, guys, listen, we need to wrap it up because you poor boys in Tittybong are really struggling now because it's, what time is it there? Oh, it's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning. Shh.
Right, let's just emphasise this. Like, we aren't pissed. You are.
Oh, that's fine. That's okay.
Go on,
right.
admit it. You're half cut, aren't you?
I've got a wee jag in me.
Yeah.
I've got a wee jag in me.
You can tell you're chill. Anyway.
What I was going to say is, we'll do the shout out. So Liam, first of all, if you want to say hello to somebody or detract everything you said about the Chinese
I'll just say a
government,
big hello to all my friends in Beijing, shall I?
Yes. Do your big shout out to everybody. What was the name of that street of that pub in Hong Kong that you told us about earlier on, Liam?
Oh no, I was saying that if you're in Hong
the
Kong,
YMCA, something about the YMCA.
The YMCA in Hong Kong. Apparently, it's moved now, but it used to be located on a street which has probably the most appropriate name when you think about YMCA and all the connotations that go with it. The street was called Manfuck Road, Manfuk Road.
Tisk. We should maybe broadcast from there the next podcast, Pat. Maybe not. Anyway, so are you shouting out to everybody at the YMCA at Manfuck Road there?
I've never been there, so I couldn't comment.
Of course you've not.
No, of course not. No, I'll give a shout out to the family back in Scotland. Depending on what happens with the Chinese, I might not see you again for a while.
Yes.
So hail to Mum and Dad. Hope you're listening. And
hail the Carrigans. Sorry for forgetting Liam's surname earlier on there. That was just a schoolboy error on my part.
And if any Celtic fans who are in Japan or planning to come to Japan anytime soon, look me up on Twitter, Liam6783, and I'll help you out when you come to Japan.
Splendid. Good on you, Liam. Martin, any shout-outs, mate?
I've got a couple of shout-outs. So again, Jack Minnick, my nephew, and his little brother Billy, who's a Barcelona fan. Get it right, of you. And I've got actually 4 nieces and nephews that are doing year 12 this year exams at the moment. So good luck to all 4 of them for the Celtic family, especially them all. Good luck to them all. And MD that leaves from the Ramshead pub, they probably don't even remember me, but I used to go on the Derek White bus from there. So MD leaves the Ramshead pub in Maryhill.
Good on you, Martin. Patrick. You were struggling with the Gremlins pre-show tonight, mate, but you beat them. Just like you would do any old Sifconians or zombies. And you got us on air, mate.
I did. So anyway, I just want to thank everyone who took part tonight. There was, let's have a look through the list, John Derek Flanagan. That was Toby, I think. There was Liquidator in the chat room.
Yes.
He's probably going to be listening back to us later, but he was sitting his driving test today.
Good luck.
He was listening to us to try and take the strain off. He had a lesson before it, and he's sitting his driving test after it. So good luck to him.
He was listening to us while he was doing his test.
No,
good luck with that, mate. As soon as Liam started talking about getting killed by Chinese people, he crashed it.
or he followed your lead and just got pissed.
Thanks to Ewan. So Ewan, who's over in New Zealand, because he wanted a shout for the New Zealand boys. I think he tweeted us earlier in the week. So hopefully you're listening, Ewan.
Well remembered, Pat.
Actually, it's going to be like 4 in the morning over there, so you should try and get them on one night for a laugh. That would be hilarious. 4 o'clock in the morning, try to talk to us. Who else was there? A get well. I have to do a get well to Bobby Lennox, who is going into hospital. He's going in for a triple heart bypass. Yes, best of luck, Bob. Well, not that he's listening, but best of luck if anyone can pass it on to him from people on the other side of the world. Chrissy Boy was mentioning as well. There's the Kano Foundation have just come onto the chat room on Spreaker as well. So they were offered a top for obviously for charity. Then they went to get it, and Celtic said, "Nah, don't know what you're talking about." They gave it away to somebody else. So good on Celtic for doing that sort of stuff. For one of the best causes ever. So thanks for Craig for slagging me off and sack the board earlier on. What else? Yes, the Gold Coast thing update. So a shout out to Chris McMonigal because he's done a bit more work. We now have a logo, if everyone's seen it.
A bit more work? That makes it sound as if Chris has done nothing, Pat.
He's done a lot of work.
He's done everything up until you did a logo thing, or you got somebody to do a logo.
Well, I did a wee bit. I did all the stuff on Twitter and that sort of thing. I've set up the Facebook stuff and. Chris,
I'll stick up for you, mate. You've done a lot, mate. Up until Pat just came in and tried to steal the glory.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do. So anyway, so it's on Twitter. It's GC Celtic, so at GC Celtic. There's the Facebook group, which is just facebook.com. Then it's /groups/GC Celtic, or if you just search for Gold Coast Celtic. So that's next year, June 6th to the 9th, on the Gold Coast at the Surfers Paradise, isn't it? Yeah, Surfers Paradise.
It is.
So the website is also www.gcceltic.com. There's a bit of a theme going there. So we are obviously trying to push this for people in Australia, but anyone who else is in the country, just to come along and
or just driving through. You might just be driving through and you might fancy it.
Yep.
You might be going just for a long weekend to Australia.
Maybe.
Go to the Gold Coast.
Did your mate Jimmy Malk, did he actually book his flights even though he promised to?
I need to check. I can't
see.
I don't know if he has, but
you're not keeping top of that one, Kev. So Stephen Harvey's been mentioned as well. So loads of people sort of tweeting this today. So again, obviously anyone who's getting any sort of pictures, videos, and that, send it to. I actually forgot to check the address, which I'll maybe try and get before we finish. So I'm sure it's JP Taylor at celticfc.co.uk. I'm sure it is. So he's also on Twitter, whose handle I can't quite remember. But anyone in the Goblins bus back home and in the Airdrie, so or the Wayside bus, I don't know even what it's called these days. But hello to everyone back there. And Jockstein CSC. Things are going a bit quiet with the clocks changing over here. But anyone wants to follow us on Twitter, it's at JSCSC Melbourne. So JSCSC, that's Jockstein CSC Melbourne, gets followed there, and I think that's probably it. I'm sure there's something I've forgotten. But
Sorry,
anyway,
I'd like to do one more shout out to my three boys, Charlie, Eddie, and Harvey, because they'll go nuts tomorrow if I've not.
All right, Charlie, Eddie, and Harvey. All right, boys.
Chris McMonagle was given his good odds of 1,000 to 1 that Sammy won't score against Ross County.
Tomorrow?
He's saying he'll give us 1,000 to 1, he says.
Jesus.
I'll put $1 on that.
$1? I might
Put
have
$1.
100 on that at those odds. Chris, I hope you're good for it.
Yeah, thanks to Toby in the chat room. So it's on Twitter, it's at Celtic FSLO. It's whatever a supporter liaison officer. What does the F stand for? Celtic FSLO. So at Celtic FSLO is his Twitter
Football,
handle.
mate. Football, the F stands
Football
for.
supporters liaison. Okay, well there you go. So that's it. So yes, thanks everyone for listening.
And have the Jockstein CSC, are you showing the game? I get Ross County tomorrow night, Pat, or is it too late?
It's where the pub will be open. I'm not sure I'll be making it there. So, but yep.
Oh, it's all about you. It's all about you. What about the Jockstein CSC? They might want to be there though.
Chris has just said that Samaras is injured, so that's why he's not playing. All right, give us 10,000 to 1 then. He'll make a miraculous recovery though, Chris.
For 10,000.
I'm going to withdraw that $100 bet, Chris. Thank you. Right, okay. I'm just going to do my usual shout-outs for everybody back in Coatbrig in the old Erngobra CSC. Mandara CSC, we've got the game tomorrow night in Friar Tucks in 1 and Up. It's an 8:45 kick-off in Western Australia tomorrow, which is a fairly decent time on a Saturday night. Hopefully we'll get a good turnout down there, and we've actually got some. In fact, I mentioned this a good few shows back, but we do now have the good old Celtic Pure on draft, on tap, out of Friar Tucks. We're going to be getting big screens put in soon, and it's all happening in Friar Tucks. So, shout out to anybody that's listening in the Mandara CSC. I'll see you all tomorrow night. But apart from that, I think that's pretty much it. I'd really like to thank everybody that's contributed to the show tonight. So, Pat, the extraordinaire producer, Liam for his fantastic and controversial points about the whole Chinese TV deal thing. I still reckon Liam's going to get some phone calls from Hugh Keevins and these kind of people to get another view, another perspective, and they'll claim it as an exclusive.
That would suggest that they're actually competent journalists. I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, you never know. You never know, Liam. But Martin as well, thanks a million for coming on, buddy. I know it's very late over there as well in Tittybong, so thanks for staying up so late. And thanks to everybody else that's tweeted in tonight, folks, and been on the chat room and things like that as well, contributed to the show. I think all that remains to be said, boys, is hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Cheers, boys.
I would like to leave this city. This old town don't smell too pretty, and I can feel the warning signs running around my mind. And when I leave this island, I book myself into a soul asylum, 'cause I can feel the warning signs running around